Good evening, chat. Welcome. It's Thursday night and time for the Thursday night show. It is time. It's time, and it's getting cold out. Makes sense. We're like halfway through October, and the nights are finally getting cold. I'm like, had the window open next to me, and I was like, oof, it's getting cold out there. So, let's see here. Glorious Molar Walrus stash. Tough choice for the Boltons. Well, we're talking about the Walrus mustache Bolton tonight, so don't worry. And I don't know why people hate on Michael Bolton. He does a good job. Mount Reza says he's fat. He's capped at 5K. It's like, yeah. And like, I don't know how it is where he practices, but around here, we're like a ton of attorneys take a point of work just because, like, you have to. I mean, like, I don't know what it's like when you're where he was, where they were like, but you know, it is what it is. You know, the struggles of actually running a practice and trying to. So it's tough. But anyways, guys, welcome to the show. We got a lot to talk about tonight. This is a night for people to suffer. There's going to be a lot of suffering tonight. There's going to be suffering at all. I should have said at all there. That was boo. That was a bad joke. Never mind. Suffering for everybody. Everybody's going to suffer. Aaron Imholte suffering tonight. John Bolton suffering tonight. Antifa suffering tonight. Alec Baldwin suffering tonight. Alex Jones is suffering tonight. Some moron in Washington, D.C. is suffering tonight. There's a lot of suffering to go around, chat. The Trump administration's suffering tonight. Everybody's suffering. Yes, Alec Bolton. Oh, yes. Yes, everybody's... That's the theme tonight. It's the Suffocast. The Suffocast. You know, well, even Clyde's suffering because 2.0 is not here. And he's like, I miss her. And he's all like out of sorts. And he's like, fat man, you are helpful, but you are not primary human. Which is weird because I'm the one who picked him out of... I rescued you from jail. I broke your chains of bondage. And he's like, no, I like 2.0 better. I love you, Papa. Mwah. So 2.0 is still gone. So he's all very much like all sorts of sad. But yes, a CLYDE. We got a Clyde tower. It's the only tower you're allowed to build by yourself, chat. But he deserves it. I am the spare person. I totally am. At this point, which sucks. I'm like, you know, you son of a bitch. Like, you came over, like, when we got him at the APL, I told you the story. He comes walking up to me and, like, flips over on my foot and, like, rolls over and is like, pet me, scratch my belly. And I'm like, cool. He came right to me. And then as soon as we get home, he's like, fuck you. I'm like, what a con man. He is a con man. And, like, he's getting ready for his piano recital. Do 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 do. He's looking at the camera like, help me God. But anyways, chat. We are live tonight on a couple different platforms. We are live tonight on I'm gonna set you down, Bubber, okay? We are live tonight on Rumble. We are live tonight. Rumble's working. We are live tonight on Rumble. We are live tonight on Twitter. And we are always live on YouTube, chat. We are not live on Locals. I could not get Locals set up. But if you guys do want to join over at Locals, and actually, I gotta remember, what did I make for the new code? But at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, we have a whole community there. It's just like Patreon, except it's a lot cooler. By a lot cooler, I mean a ton cooler. We don't have all those pesky rules. We don't have all that stuff you're not allowed to do. And hold on here. Where is... Oh, yeah. It's a simple one. Okay. I forgot I had to... Because you have to go... The one we set up did not work. So we are using potentiallycriminal.locals.com. You guys could join for 1 month free. You get access to the live shows. Live shows on Monday night and then Thursday night. So right after this, we're going to hang out. And guys, the last couple of nights, I know I've been a little flat, a little tired, a little bit of yawning going on, yawn maxing. We're good to go. We'll be going all night tonight, chat. We're going all night. But use the promo code FALL2025. You guys can sign up for free, get a free month, and access those live shows. Also, we have Formula 1 this weekend. We're going to have all kinds of stuff to do. The Formula 1 guys, and, if God willing, Allah willing, if Mr. Medicare goes live, we do those for free. That's open to everybody. But the live shows, those are for supporters only. If you guys want to support, it's $3 a month, pay for 10 months. You get 2 months free. That's at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Hope to see you guys there. How long were we watching Louis the Big Dog? Just the weekend, just this past weekend. Louis' owner just needed it for Saturday and then the Sunday. So, Brad says the only ones who are not suffering. That's correct. You guys, who's not suffering tonight? Anybody going to Stoney's Bar and Grill. That's right, chat. Stoney's Bar and Grill at 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota, chat. Stoney's is your place to go, chat. They wrapped up bike nights last week, but they just had, it's still $2.50 cans, chat, over at Stoney's on Thursdays. Bike nights are over, but they are getting ready for things. Stoney's already announced this weekend. Friday night, they're going to have Grift and the Grifters. Saturday, the Motley Crue tribute band, Theater of Pain, is back. And then on the 31st, which is a Friday, chat, that's right, Halloweener is on a Friday night. At 9:30 p.m., they're going to have their Halloween extravaganza with the Muffin Man, which I'm not sure, that seems a little weird, but hey, there you go. There you go, guys. The patio, the patio's kind of closed. I'm sure if you want to go out there, though, you can. And if you want to go commemorate Aaron and you want to do some naked twister in his honor and hold a vigil for him, that might be an option for you. That might be an option for you. But yeah, the summer's over. Summer's over. You come and crank your hog out in front of Stoney's, you're going to be by yourself. So save your hog for next season. But in the meantime, enjoy some $2.50 cans. Only at Stoney's, serving Minnesota as the premier biker bar 30 years running. In addition to that, chat, we can actually get through other sponsors real quick. We got the dragonstreasure.com. That's right, chat. Thedragonstreasure.com. Use the promo code. Hold on here. Did somebody just text me? Okay, that was weird. Use the dragonstreasure.com. Use the promo code criminal. You get 10% off your coffees, your teas, and your soaps. Remember, guys, Dragon's Treasure Haven for tea and anime lovers. They have Western-themed tea that's out today. They have new things out there for you to try. You could do your Dragon Wings membership, and you get access to different things that are out there. But they have Tea Haw, which is a Western-themed cowboy tea. Got different things like oat straw, orange peels, licorice root, blue cornflowers, safflower, and yarrow flower. That's a new thing they've got out there. Take advantage of it, guys, at dragonstreasure.com. The tea man is based. Buy his tea. Buy his tea. And then, chat, last but not least, MAF Corporation. That's right, chat. MAF-arms.com. Use the promo code POTCRIM for 10% off your wind chimes. Guys, look, summer's over, but get ready for spring. You got to get your planning in. You got to get ready for next year's garden. You want to win in the HOA. You got to get your wind chimes ready. And guys, support Fudbusters and help him support his battle with Cody Wilson. We've been covering that. Help him and support him in that. Remember, guys, if you put it in the product in your in the additional info box, Matt will put a big old lipstick kiss on your invoice for you. and orders over $500, including shipping, Ivan, yes, the Rat Man himself, will personally come down to the delivery room and he will put a big old lipstick kiss on your invoice as well. Well, Matt and Ivan put them on the same thing, so it looks like their kisses are touching and leave you to wonder, how did that actually happen? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know, Chet. But they'll let your imagination run wild at maf-arms.com. All right, guys, it's time to get started. Here we go. Last week we fucked that up and took way too long, 30 minutes, and people were pointing that out, and I'm like, God, yeah, that really was bad. That was bad. So Carol says cancer $2.50 now. Yep. Thank you to remember the Biden administration said inflation was transitory. It's not. It's here to stay. So yeah, thank you for the inflation there. Okay, guys, moving on to the first thing out there. As we talked about with Aaron Imholte, the Steel Toe morning show. It is in the morning. Is it steel toed? I don't know. I'll let you decide on that. As part of his case involving the revenge pornography of Nick Rekieta's wife, Aaron was up for sentencing. He had fucked around previously over the summer, so his sentencing got pushed back from June to October. Nick and Kayla come in and cry like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity. And Aaron ended up getting 15 days in jail. Now, the way Minnesota allows for that, he gets basically like a good time credit deduction off the top. And then he's already served 2 days. So at that point now, he's only got to serve 8 days out of the 15. Aaron did try to do something that I think a lot of people would do in this situation, and I've had to do for clients before. I have 8 days. And jeez, I can hear Lady howling. I want to serve them on the weekends. Now, for a lot of people, this is important because you lose your job. And if you lose your job, well, I'm going to lose my car. I'm going to lose my house. My kids are going to be on the street. So courts are generally sympathetic to that notion that you want to break up your time. Now, there's times where you can't. For example, like in Ohio here, if you have a DUI and you have some minimum mandatory. So, like, for example, like a second offense DUI, you're looking at possibly up to 10 days in jail. That all has to be served. You can't just, skate around and you've got to serve it all. So there are times where you are stuck with mandatory jail sentences, or for example, if you get a DUI you drive on a DUI suspension, that's a mandatory 3 days in jail minimum. And maybe you can afford to take 2 days off and you're like, can I serve another day somewhere? Nope. All 3 have to go together. So Aaron did ask for, hey, can I break this up? Now, it is a little weird that he broke it up so it's like every other weekend. I think that's so he doesn't, I think thing was, to see his kids or what. I'm not really sure what it was. But he asked for that because, he's, I got to keep working. Although in Aaron's situation, if he disappears for 8 days, he's not going to get fired. One would think, but, Aaron is the type of guy, given how much he rakes himself, he could get fired from his own stream. I can see that happening. I don't know how it could happen, but it's Aaron. It could happen. So Aaron, through his attorney, did send in a letter request. And once again, guys, I know he said, well, hey, we don't do this, where I live, there's motions. And I said, yeah, that's great. In Minnesota, they do this by letter, and that's how they do it. And this is from his attorney, Todd Peterson. And he goes through it, and he says, I'm going to turn that down just a bit. That's bright. That's real bright. So Todd says, they want to do weekend service. They want to serve it through the weekends, which, once again, on its face is not an outlandish thing. But this is also a point of, remember what I've said before, when you have pretrial conditions and you have bond conditions, you are trying to entertain to the judge, I'm a good boy, I can follow rules. You're also trying to show the judge, hey, cut me some slack. Well, when you don't do that, you're putting the judge, the judge doesn't have incentive to want to do things for you. If you look like you're an asshole, if you look like you can't follow directions, you're not going to gain sympathy from the judge about doing that. Why not ask for 30 minutes a day? Well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Oh. Garrett says every other weekend lets him stretch out the content. I think a little bit, but yeah. Marky Mark says, I thought Sean said the tow's going for 15 days. Well, his initial sense was 15 days. I know there were discussions about how that would break down to like 8 days. I think we talked about that the last time. I said I would defer to the people who are saying it's 8. I trust their explanation of how that's going to work because there's no automatic, like for here, for example, or in many other places, jailing done at the local level is not governed by state law. So some places you get good days, some days you don't. It's up to that, sheriff's department and the court system to allow it. So that's why I said if he's going to get 8, we'll defer to that in the meantime. Can you serve on your lunch breaks? No, that's so funny. That's so funny. Jail Dub saying, what a punani, just eat the 8 days. I mean, you're like, have you been to jail for 8 days? I mean, like a lot of people saying like, oh, just do it. It's like, how much fucking jail time do you have? Like, it's not Oz or Shawshank, but it's not a fun place to go. I'm not going to sit, I'm gonna never tell a client, oh, hey, just suck it up and just get it all done. I'd say that is one of your options, but the other option is we could try to extend it out. When I go to jail, I leave. I get to walk in, I get to walk out. I talk to clients, I leave. So I'm never going to tell clients, hey, it's no big fucking deal. That's never something I would do. Axios says jail for 8 hours sucks. I spent 7-8 hours in a jail before meeting with multiple clients, preparing for things, and it's fucking boring. Like it's what you're working, so it's not as bad, but like it could still suck. So that's why some of you guys in chat are saying like, oh, we'll just do it. I'm like, I don't think that's a fair thing here. Lucky Lime is saying you're living in a 10-foot by 10-foot room. Well, you're not though. You're going to be in like, I don't know how the Stearns County Jail is set up, whether it's like a pod or whatever type of setup it is, but you're going to be out and about during the day. You're going to be allowed into like the common area or the rec room, whatever they call it. You're not going to, unless they're in lockdown, which that's where it would really suck for Aaron. If something happened, a security threat or something occurs and they have to lock down the entire jail, that would suck for those guys. But in general, he's going to be allowed to sit there all day and play fucking cards. Like if you go to jail, you just shut up. You don't talk shit. You understand the etiquette in jail. And it's about respect. You don't fuck around with people. If you can play cards, like, are you good at spades? I know Aaron says, like, he was told cribbage. Fine, cribbage. Whatever it is, as long as you can, like, do that and not be an asshole, you're probably going to be fine. Aaron can't shut up. Well, we'll see. Play some dominoes. I kind of get the feeling that the Somali population in Minnesota is not a big domino playing thing there, but it could happen. Anyways, this is Todd Peterson. He's saying, the court directed Aaron to serve a 15-day sentence beginning no later than this coming Friday, the 17th. He was given permission to send in this basically a motion for weekends. And yeah, just like, Judge, can I send it in? And he says, it's been in my experience that for local sentences, courts avoid imposing a sentence that negatively impacts a person's ability to work. Yes, normally, yes, but Aaron has also pissed off the judge. Aaron's also in a unique situation. Not only is he self-employed, but he's in a business where it's not like he's putting up gutters or he's a plumber or an electrician where, that really is going to hurt him. And he says, traditionally, people serving local jail sentences have been permitted work release. That is another option. But once again, any of that goodwill you may have had where you could have gotten those things, you pissed it away by upsetting the judge. Remember, it's a job audition. You are trying to prove to the judge, I can be housebroken and I will be a good boy if you put me on probation. And then at that point, if you ask for something, the judge is more inclined to grant it. It's just like when you were growing up, if you pissed off your parents. The more you piss them off, the less likely you're going to get what you want. And he says, for whatever reason, the Stearns County Jail is not permitting inmates to participate in work release, which it's up to the jail. I mean, you're not entitled to work release. There's no constitutional right to it. Some jails don't allow it. Some jails have very restrictive rules on it. He says, my client's concerned about his job. Well, I mean, judges don't give a shit. And scheduled time with his children. Once again, there's a judge I've been in front of before when I was in Toledo, and somebody would talk about their kids, and he'd be like, everybody's got kids. I don't care. So he has to serve his remaining time on October 17th, and then every other weekend from Friday at 11 through Sunday at 11. And that's what his suggestion was. And then from there, the prosecutor's office, which I've never seen this before, this type. I've heard of, and I've dealt with cases where prosecutors have objected, but the logic in their objection here is this is a lot. This is a lot to like, are you really doing this? Now, they can request him to serve all his time at once. Yeah, fair enough. I've had cases where, judge, can we get a time off? And they say no. I'm like, yeah, I get it. They're going to disagree. Also, real quick, did you guys, we are live on Rumble if you were not aware. You know, you guys all want Rumble, and then like nobody's over there. I'll start Kick instead, I guess. Going forward. So the defendants want to serve time on the weekend so he could continue online streaming. Yeah, which is his job. But yes, it is online streaming. Once again, when you're dealing with normies, they go, this is gay internet shit. This is the same platform where he committed the underlying offense of violating conditions of release. True. The court imposed the sentence would not require the defendant to miss a significant number of days. Requiring him to serve 8 days would be a deterrence to stop further criminal activity and violations of the no contact order. Yeah, I think so. That is a very good point. I say, this part here, I've never seen a prosecutor's office make that. Even when I was in a prosecutor's office, once again, we've talked about that before. I've never made the argument of, oh my gosh, it's a burden on the jail staff by requiring him to go through booking and release multiple times. I've never heard that argument ever made before. The poor jail staff, tinker the jail staff. Like, really, brah? Really? This is just so funny here. The weekends are oftentimes the busiest days to bring in new defendants, so allowing defendants to serve time on the weekends alone would be a burden on the jail during the busiest days of the week. So what? It's their fucking job. It's their motherfucking job. And they say if the court isn't inclined to allow them to serve on weekends, the time proposed would not accomplish what was initially requested at sentencing. The defendant asked for weekends or 2 4-day periods. A day is 24 hours. The times proposed by the defense would mean each weekend he would serve 2 days or 48 hours. Therefore, to accomplish the 8 days, he would need to serve 4 weekends in jail. Yes, the math checks out. The court is inclined to allow it. The state would request the court to allow is to report to be released reflect at 8 actual days. Which, like, he's going to serve literally, based on what Todd Peterson suggested here, Friday to Saturday, and then Saturday to Sunday. Like, think about it. Friday at 11 to Saturday at 11 is 1 day. And then Saturday from 11 till Sunday at 11 is 2 days. Like I said, this is just a bit, I've never, these arguments here are just a little ridiculous to me. But hey, they can make them. They're not unconstitutional. They're not improper. It's just never seen that. That is a little gay there. Lost saying, what was he charged on again? That he took a picture of Nick's wife, Kayla, of her with one of her nipples hanging out, and he sent it to Gino Bisconti. So he was charged with the Non-consensual dissemination of a private sexual image as a misdemeanor. Initially, he was charged with a felony and a misdemeanor, and they made it a misdemeanor. So, yeah, it's just they are, and they're allowed to, though. The arguments are allowed to make. I've just never seen a prosecutor's office go this hard in the paint like that. But hey, they can. And then we get to on the 13th, and the court went ahead, and this is where, when you do these letters, this is how the court will respond. We've seen this with some of the stuff in the Diddy cases. The court wrote on the letter itself and entered an entry here. They say to serve his time on the weekends is denied. He is to report to jail to serve his sentence on or before October 17th at 3 p.m. So by 3 p.m. tomorrow, Aaron has to be at the jail. And that is where we are. That is where we are. Sweet Tooth saying, I thought you'd have to serve time on a misdemeanor. Oh, you 100% could go to jail for a misdemeanor. The odds are of like serving jail time might be less, but no, you always risk a misdemeanor. There are some types of misdemeanor offenses that don't carry jail. We have those here in Ohio, like a minor misdemeanor or non-classified misdemeanor. But the other types of misdemeanors you can get in Ohio, they all have jail time. I mean, you should presume pretty much any misdemeanor is going to have a possible jail sentence attached. MW says misdemeanors are up to a year in jail. Generally, like the basic conventional explanation is if it's less than a year, it's a misdemeanor. If it's greater than a year, it's a felony. Maddie says, turn on hype for my stream. Where are you talking about that? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Now, that said, though, like, for example, that is the traditional basic answer, but every state is different. Ohio, for example, a misdemeanor's maximum penalty is 180 days in jail. From there, 6 months and on up is a felony sentence, generally speaking. So it all depends where you're at. But yes, the general rule is if it's under a year, it's a misdemeanor. If it's greater than a year, it's a felony. And then Loss is saying, how is this not a violation of the First Amendment? Which part? I mean, the court, he is accused of harassing somebody and harming a victim. The idea you're not allowed to talk about the victim is pretty standard. If I steal your car, there's generally a no contact order, meaning don't talk to them, deal with them. I'm not sure what you mean by it being a First Amendment issue. Let's see. Hype is only on mobile. Okay. It's a new YouTube feature. Well, they don't tell us about the features. Jail Dub saying you can't spend more than a year in jail for a misdemeanor unless they're ran consecutive. It all depends on how your state does it. Some states allow for these things, some states don't. Now, let's see here. I'm trying to see where you're. Corn says, speaking of that, are we going to cover the Bianca Ellis thing? Yes. But that's going to be a separate thing. I'm trying to see if there's going to actually coverage of it where we can watch the trial that wasn't a disaster. Because the stuff out there was really bad. So. Loss is saying, to be fair, I barely know what Aaron's deal is. I may be wrong. Well, no, there's conditions of bond, and many times no contact with the victim. Also includes don't talk about them. That is a pretty normal condition. So that's not a First Amendment. I mean, it is, but it's a reasonable constraint. So that's, I get what you're saying, but it's really not that big a deal. Like, there's no court that's going to say, oh, how dare you say Aaron can't say Kayla or talk about Kayla or do anything like that. No, the Court of Appeal is going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Minnesota Supreme Court is going to be like, yeah, it totally makes sense. Even the Supreme Court of the United States is going to go, yeah, that makes sense. So did he contact supposed to be? He didn't contact her, but he talked about her, and you're not allowed to do that. That is a very common thing as well. You're not allowed to comment about your victim publicly. And he did. So, XMMM is saying he could have fought the order if he felt it was unconstitutional. There's no court that have overturned that. I know there were people saying like you shouldn't have signed it or whatever. Like, there's no court in America that's going to say, "Oh yeah, you're right, we can't actually do that." And there's no court of appeals that's going to back you up on that. Like, you can file all your motions, you're going to waste trees. So, Nico says, nope, Gino did not, Aaron. One of the times Aaron did. And that's when the June thing got postponed. So remember, that's a separate incident. Then there's the Steel Toe anniversary show. Yeah, Gino said it, but guess who invited Gino and had him there? Aaron. And at that point, the court was already pissed off at Aaron. And yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like, well, you invited him? Yeah, I paid him to be there. You know, that's why Aaron's fucked. That's why Aaron got fucked. It's not a win for the toe. It's not. It's not. So where Tiger Racing, he's got to do 8 days. So Aaron Brott's pretty much on himself. Yeah, he did. He'll do it and he'll be back. You know, he'll come back and he'll be like in Cape Fear doing, dips in between stacks of books. What could Aaron be hinting at when he says the prosecutor did something unethical? I mean, he could say they acted like faggots, and they kind of did. But did they do anything unethical or untoward? And speaking of Gino and Keanu, no, like they did nothing illegal or anything actionable under the rules of professional conduct. So, I mean, sure, he's not happy with it and is upset about it. But yeah, no, nothing illegal or improper happened from what I can tell. So, and Lolo's saying that's all third-party contact. You can't have people contact that party on your behalf. Like, that's a very common way people break no contact orders is by having like friends or family or other people go out and unofficially on your behalf go fuck with the other person. So that's why Aaron got in trouble. He would have been told ahead of time, indirectly or directly, not just meaning through yourself, but through other parties. You're not allowed to have no contact. That's a very easy thing there. You're saying it's a bullshit law. I'm telling you, though, like, it's a very common term of bond. Don't fucking talk to that person or talk about them. So, he got 8 gays, yes. So, yes, he's out there. What I will tell you is don't try to write him. People out there, I know somebody had made a comment of like, well, you could try to write him. Not that I would say, no, don't tip the cows. Don't touch the cows. I know people had been, whether or not they were serious about like, oh, well, maybe we could write to the jail and let the inmates know that Aaron don't like black folks. And like, I mean, this isn't like, San Quentin where there's a bunch of Black Panthers running around or nothing. Like I said, it's going to be very uneventful for Aaron. He's, I'm sure he's going to bullshit his way through there. But even then, if he didn't, he just shut up. He'll be in and out and he'll be like, yeah, look, I got to hang out with the black guys and they didn't rape me. That's probably what's going to happen, Aaron. So, will Mama K take him baked goods and jail? Other channels are organizing letter writing, and I know, and that's, once again, that's melanated act. That's pure melanation right there. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. I mean, that's karma too. Like you also, why would you want to engage in like these people that know you're out there? Like maybe they come fuck with you. Like You know, intentionally going out of your way to invite trouble is never a good idea. Didn't I used to wear glasses? Yes, I did. So when does he report? Tomorrow afternoon. Aaron will play spades for 8 days or sleep for 8 days, 0 times. Well, yeah, you can play spades as well. You can play spades. Some places, you know, it all depends where you're at. Like around here, people play euchre. I don't know if that's like everywhere, but euchre's big in Ohio. What if someone wanted to send him a sonotube medallion? You can't send things like that into jails. You can send a letter to people, but like sending in things like that will not be allowed. It's not. He's not going to get a care package with like sonotube medallions or baldos in it or anything like that. That stuff you're not allowed to send in. They will not accept that. The things he can buy are like you can buy him commissary items, and he can get those, but you can't just send him in shit. It doesn't work like that. Nova says $20, says he gets beat up in jail. I mean, yeah. And I will say Nova's like, hold on here. Where is it? I told you the toe is going to jail for 8 days. I mean, like, either he was or wasn't. Like, okay, good. I guess I got another thing wrong. Like, yeah, like, there you go. There you go. Let's see here. There's a 0% chance he doesn't get his. Well, yeah, there's never a 0% chance, but guys, it's a local county jail. Aaron's a tourist. There are guys in there doing longer time than he is. Like, if there's real booty warrior stuff going on, that would be really bad. Like, if even though Aaron's in trouble, he's pretty much a tourist and he comes out sexually assaulted and abused. That's bad for the jail, and that's bad for the guy stuck in that pod. So, no, they have an incentive not to fuck with him anyway. Aside from all of that. Let's see here. When does the clock start? I mean, when he walks in the door. He has to serve starting at 3. I mean, like, he's going to be on that day, and then he gets released on day 8, and, whatever time that'll be. So, he'll probably be in the afternoon. Aaron has a Queen of Spades tattoo. He probably does. Can you send him a cake with a nail file? That'd be great. Oh. Still, I wonder if he's going to be allowed to, and I don't know if he addressed this with Johnny will be like, you have a collect call from Aaron, help me. An inmate at the Stearns County Jail. To accept this call, please press 1. I wonder if that's going to happen there. Can you get a crowbar-shaped cake? Maybe. So send Aaron a cake of a nail file. You guys can't send him cakes. Don't do that. My medallion's in the mail. I will not touch that medallion. I will throw it away. At the very least, I'll take it to the Cleveland Diocese and let their exorcist deal with it. I am not touching that fucking thing. So, let's see here. All right. So that's kind of it for Aaron, guys. That's the big thing here. Can he still shill Stonies in jail? I'm sure guys that have been in jail will have been to Stonies before. Maybe he can barter with fucking Stonies gift cards. He's like, I'll send you a gift card. Another says you need a bishop to cleanse that. No, you need the exorcist. And I think the Cleveland Diocese still has an exorcist. So. Another says bikers that have done time. I mean, just people in general. I mean, like, it's not like a biker bar where it's like the Hells Angels and the Outlaws go there, but people who ride motorcycles go to that bar. But I'm assuming people who just drink beer and drive a car go to that bar too. I'm sure it's a well enough known bar in the area. So Eric could smuggle in some $2 cans. Jeez. Up his can. All right, guys. So that is it for Aaron. He's going for jail. You know, he'll be back. He'll be back. It's going to be like the hurricane. He's going to have to go do his time. All right, let's catch up on some things here real quick. Shredder S 07 says for Frodo. Okay. Natasha for 10 subs. EDW Raptor for 10 subs. And Amateur Iconoclast for 1 sub. Thank you guys for your support, your generosity. Getting the night rolling to a great start. Thank you very much. Remember, guys, when you guys get subs for people, when you get memberships for people, you are crushing the Grays out there. And this is what you're doing literally. Not even figuratively. This is literally what you're doing to the Grays. It's what you're doing, and it's music to my ears listening to them suffer. Chugi Show is saying, are we raising money for the toe? LOL. No, but you could send him commissary. I mean, he will be in there. You can do that if you want to. Stream like it said. Securus, JPay, Keefe, Aramark, Secure Pack. All great commissary providers in the criminal justice system. John Coleman for $2 says, I turn 34 tomorrow. Well, congratulations. Happy birthday. Here's the at least 34 more, but yeah, somebody just turned 40. Enjoy your 30s. There's still a lot more to do, but yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Hope it's fun. Hope you get to spend it with family and friends, whether it's tomorrow or at another point coming up. And WMAC now says the toe goes to jail. Ricky Rackets is free. It's an indictment of the U.S. system. Praise Stonies. Buy memberships. I mean, you guys can say, well, that's not right, and there's Illuminati and everything, but there were conditions of bond, and I know everybody, and we all have our, beliefs at times where Nick was abusing inhalants and probably was getting away with drinking. You know what? They didn't catch him. He had terms to comply with, terms for sentencing, and he's been complying with them. So that's how it goes. Mikey is saying, is it true John Bolton got indicted? Yes. You say sweet or sweet. You gotta, if you have your retainer still in. But they better watch out for that mustache. That's the real malevolent entity. The root of all suffering caused by the neocons, the destroyer of worlds. Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to John Bolton's suffering. We are going to get to all the suffering there. All right, guys, moving on. It's time to move on from there. Let's get this Aaron shit out of here. All right, done, and done. All right, moving on from there, guys. I guess somebody else who has done something but totally didn't do anything. Alec Baldwin. Yes, the Ukrainian eliminator himself. Yes, the hero of the Rust saga, the gentleman who was able to get a trial dismissed with prejudice due to prosecutorial misconduct after he shot an unarmed Ukrainian woman on the set of the movie Rust. Well, Alec Baldwin had a single car accident out in the Hamptons. And I talked about this before, guys. When you're in a single car accident, you know what they think happens a lot of times? The first thought of the police, and even myself, if you come into my office or you call me and tell me, hey, Sean, I have an issue. And you tell me what happened. Like, drive my car and I got no wreck. And I'll say, well, were you by yourself? Yes. I'm already thinking, well, maybe you had a DUI. Maybe you were drunk, because that is one of the primary things that happens. It's not been confirmed, but it is something that is very, very common. A single car accident, the police generally move on to pretty quickly. Has this person been drinking? Now, what happened? So Alec Baldwin had a car crash when he was out in the Hamptons this week. Just like the song goes, he had handshakes in the Hamptons and he got drunk in the mansions with you, and by you, his brother. So what happened? We had a car crash in the Hamptons, and it's a little interesting what happened here. So he's 67. Remember, guys. So he's actually like, remember, he got in a car crash. It's pretty rough when you're 67. Yeah. So he was with his brother. Notice his brother doesn't get actually billing. They just say his brother. And yes, he was photographed looking disheveled. I mean, if you put the beard on him, he looks like he was on Rust. The set of Rust calling his attorney after he killed Helena Hutchins. So he crashed his car on Columbus Day, and I'm sure that upsets him. And he's like, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. But what did he do? Well, he crashed his Range Rover head on into a tree on the side of the Montauk Highway out in the Hamptons, where he owns his home. And guys, remember, the Hamptons is way out on Long Island, way out there on the far end. So this is his car. I mean, he hit it pretty hard. He hit it pretty hard. And we actually have video of it. We're going to get to that here. So he was out there being part of some fucking film festival, which I'm sure wasn't totally retarded. He's been out there all week. He attended films and moderated panels. What panels would he moderate? How to kill people on a movie set? What to do when your director of cinematography disagrees with you on a topic? Proper weapons handling, safety, I don't know. And then when he crashed the car, he actually had to admit it was his wife, Hilaria's car. Yes. And yes, there he goes. He looks so mad. And yeah, that's Alec Baldwin. He hates the paparazzi. He hates people seeing him. But anyways, that's him and his brother. His brother looks pretty rough, even though the brother is younger. And I do think it's funny, one bad movie. I'm like, they're all bad movies. Now, what happened? We actually do have video. We have a couple different things that have happened here. And this first one is Alec Baldwin actually talking. And then,
but this morning I was in this.
Once again, just like we learned with Alec Baldwin in the Rust stuff, when you talk, everything you say can and will be used against you. And remember, the prosecutors used his statements to George Stephanopoulos as proof that he intentionally had discharged the gun, because he said a bunch of shit in that first statement where he's talking about, well, I had it cocked and I did all these, and none of it was true. None of it was factually supported. And it's hard for him to say no to things. I'm sure he talked to Alex Spiro, his attorney who's handled stuff, and he probably told him, shut up. But he didn't do it. So he goes ahead and talks, and here's what he says. Here's what he had to say.
But this morning I was in this car accident. Guy cut me off in a truck, big garbage truck. I mean, a garbage truck the size of a whale. I've never seen it.
Now remember, he's saying he got cut off. We're going to get to that. Keep in mind what he says so far. I got cut off.
Garbage truck. It must have been something commercial for like taking away material from construction or something. It was the biggest garbage truck I've ever seen. Anyway, I won't go into the details now and bore you, but to avoid hitting him, I hit a tree. I hit a big fat tree and crushed my car, my wife's car. I crushed my wife's car. I feel bad about that, but it's all fine, and I'm fine, and my brother's fine, and blah, blah, blah. Congratulations to everybody on the film festival. Thank you to the East Hampton Police Department, the town police department, for coming to my aid. They came in and we filed a report with them. Officer Gherkin is his name, Gerken.
Okay, but you notice he's adding in all kinds of bullshit we don't need to know. Yes, just so dramatic, so dramatic. But we do have actual footage of things. So this is an actual a little bit farther away picture, and we do have
just obtained.
This is from Newsmax, and that's the only place I've seen it when I were looking on Twitter. This is the dash cam of the garbage truck, and we're gonna watch what happens here.
Exclusive dash cam video showing the moment actor Alec Baldwin crashed his SUV on the east end of New York's Long Island. The video is from the front-facing camera on a commercial truck.
Now, remember, he says he got cut off.
You're seeing the truck here making what's believed to be a legal right turn, and then it slows down.
Seconds later, Baldwin's SUV is seen hitting a mailbox and a tree off.
Now notice, this truck has moved down the road a bit. It's moved down the road a little bit. It's at 29 seconds here. And as we back up, have you been cut off yet? When does this thing cut you off, Alec? When did it cut you off? Because it's almost like we'll put to where it actually pulls out into traffic. Here. Over 10 seconds goes by. We're at 10 seconds and you're saying you got cut off. This is why you shouldn't be talking. This is why you shouldn't be talking. This is why you don't talk. Eric says, I hate the Montauk Highway. Never been there. I'll take your word for it. I'm sure it's packed. I'm sure it's packed. But this is why you don't talk. This is why you don't talk, because now you're saying like, oh, here's what I did. But it doesn't sound right. It doesn't make much sense. Oh, I got cut off. Did you really get cut off? Maybe you did. But that's something you should have worked on later. Diane says, look at the beginning. You can see Alec's car. You can? Hold on here. Let's go back. You go back to the beginning. Okay, so we're here. You can't see Alec Baldwin's car. Where is it at? You don't see it. It's not here. I don't see where you're talking about. But anyways, as we get up to this, you're going to see Alec Baldwin's car come into view right here. Here we go.
Mailbox and a tree off to the right side of the truck. The actor, an outspoken Trump hater, claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Steve.
Now notice, it seemed like he didn't hit that at full speed. He was already slowing down. Now I understand this doesn't look like a very fast road to start with. This is also the nice thing. Twitter's got a pretty decent. Also, he's got his brakes on already. But he's not slowing down. He hasn't stopped all the way. It's a Range Rover. They have decent brakes. It seems like I'm not saying for sure, but could he be intoxicated? Yeah. People intoxicated are slow on the brakes. Yeah. Was he not paying attention? Probably. I bet he was fucking around on his phone. Or he was drunk. But either one, he's not going to admit to. He's not going to admit fault. A delayed reaction, certainly. It was certainly a delayed reaction. But the idea he got cut off, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. That's a lot of cope. That's a lot of cope. He probably wasn't going to speed limit. I don't think so. And he was checking his phone. Yeah. What is that stretch of road? Do you guys know what the speed limit is there? I know some of you live out there, but he could easily have been drunk too. So let me see here. But who knows what he was doing? But he was doing something he didn't have. This idea that it's totally not a DUI. It's like totally not a DUI. It's totally not a DUI, Alec. He had a few road sodas. Yeah, I know. He probably had some road pops. I mean, I bet he would drink wine or something. But yeah, he definitely had some. Eric says, I always do around 50. Okay. KLF is saying it's like 45 there. Ooh. So he slowed down quite a bit already because he hits this tree pretty stoutly, pretty solid. But he's not he didn't hit this tree at 45. I mean, we would have seen if he's slowed down quite a bit as he hits the tree. So I don't know how fast he's going here. But yeah, is it a DUI? I mean, I don't know. Is it distracted driving? Maybe. But it certainly wasn't just, oh, the big bad garbage truck just jumped out in front of me. It's like, okay, man.
An outspoken Trump hater claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Stephen Baldwin in the passenger seat. He said he was trying to avoid hitting this truck, so he veered off the road into the tree. It does not appear, though, that anyone was injured in the crash, but obviously not Baldwin's first encounter with police. Now the questions, was he trying to squeeze around the truck? Was he not paying attention and didn't?
I doubt he was trying to pass on the right. Alec Baldwin's not that stupid. I don't think he was trying to do that. Yeah, the tree came out of nowhere. Was he trying to pass on the right blue-eyed Tim? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. That would have been a rough ride for somebody like him. They have $250 cans down at Stoney's 2 in the Hamptons. Yes. $2,000 cans, probably. $2,000 cans, undoubtedly. Dolly saying Hannah Reid had just worked on the brakes. Yeah. Yeah, I was told the ABS was off. I was told the ABS was on, and it wasn't. Michael Boyle has been a member for 18 months, says this is like Kyron Lacey all over again. Yeah, a little bit. I could see that, but I mean, I think it's very clear in this one that Alec Baldwin's story doesn't work at all. So, Malcolm Combs says the Range Rovers are British, shows brake fluid has already leaked out at that point. Yeah, and I get it. It's also a Range Rover, and their electronics are garbage, but I'm sure that totally was not an accident by him. We'll see, though. We'll see. All right, guys. Then in other celebrity news, In other celebrity news, we have Mark Sanchez. Remember, great NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez is now TV announcer, is now facing charges of felony assault with the intent to cause serious bodily injury for stabbing a gentleman that was working at a hotel last week. Well, his case, there's actually an update here. We are going to get cameras in court. So that's good news. The judge that's on this now has approved the media request for cameras. So on the Mark Sanchez case, we will get to see some cameras here. Good news. Good news all around on that. I just thought that wanted to be... Did the old guy die? No, he has not died. Another says stabbing. Yeah, we talked about this. So Mark Sanchez got really drunk. He was walking around. This old guy, he's like 69 years old, was working, and his job was to he drives a truck that exchanges out like the cooking oil and like pumps it out or does whatever with it. And he's sitting there getting waiting, letting the machine do his job. Mark Sanchez walks up to him and starts hassling him. And Mark Sanchez is blasted out of his mind. It starts telling him, you're not allowed to be here. I talked to the hotel staff. You can't do this, blah, 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 blah. And the guy tries to ignore him. Then after a while, Mark Sanchez starts trying to fight him. And after a while, Mark Sanchez starts kicking this guy's ass, and he's 69 years old. And the 69-year-old guy is really scared for his life. He pulls out a knife and starts stabbing Mark Sanchez a couple of times in the chest. Pretty good. And Mark Sanchez keeps on beating the shit out of this guy. And this guy's got a big old cut on his face. Now, whether he got knifed up or just got caught on something, we don't really know. But Mark Sanchez, is, serious bodily injury, injuring an old man. And, so he's facing felony assault with serious bodily injury. And, we're going to have some cameras in the court, which will be very, very, very nice. Let me see here. What do you guys... Kayla says, wow, Indiana. Well, remember, not every judge is shitty like Judge Gall. That's part of the issue. Will the jury be asked money if they lost money on the butt fumble? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that. Thankfully, in Indiana, I don't think too many people lost money. Was he on bath salts? No, he probably just got really, really intoxicated. It sounds like he got super drunk. Isn't it elder abuse if the victim's over 65? Depending on the state, yes. But he already... I don't know if it doesn't look like there's an enhancement for it right now. Maybe that'll come later. Mean Copium, how you doing, man? It says it's over, bros. It's never over. It's like Rambo. It's never over. You can't just turn it off. So there we go. But that's the update for there. Moving on to some other quick things, chat. This is, like I said, it's going to be kind of a quick night here, but I do think it's some stuff that's important to cover. Alex Jones, the frogman himself. Well, he sought a review from the Supreme Court over his $1.4 billion defamation judgment that was against him. And I think we talked about this before. People asked me what was going to happen. I said, Supreme Court's going to go, yeah, we're not touching that tonight. And they did. They denied certiorari to him, which wasn't a surprise. At all. They're not acting on behalf of the globalist chat. Supreme Court is not going to take a case like this, even though it's an insane judgment. And it'd be nice if they did. There's no outstanding issue they have to resolve. And there's many people who have sent cases into the Supreme Court seeking cert, and they never get it. And there's even though there's only 1% of cases get heard, a ton of them probably are worthy of getting heard. It's just they don't accept that many. So the Supreme Court on Tuesday turned down his. Is he really He's not really a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying he's been right a lot. So they're not doing that. It also staves off, his chance to avoid having to pay here, dealing with the bankruptcy and everything else going on. He says the petition called it, they call it the financial death penalty. Yeah, it is. And, they said the judge didn't get enough weight to his First Amendment arguments. Yeah, but the court's not going to get involved like that. The court's not going to get involved. And this just shows you how much the Supreme Court was not going to do it. They didn't even order the family to respond. They're like, okay, we'll address this on our own. They didn't even make the Sandy Hook families respond to it. So, yeah. And then Colton over on Rumble says, if only Alex Jones was a disabled minority. Yes, he wasn't black enough to get KBJ to support him. Oh, and how do you feel about the weather in Cleveland lately? I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. I'm going to submit yes. Okay, well, I'm not answering the other questions. And this is the attorney for the family saying that was a good job. It's like, fuck you, people. That's not, I think it's all bullshit. But they just talk about here. They go on to do it. But yes, he has a $1,436,650,000 judgment. So, yeah, the frogman is in trouble. Spuggins says, sorry, Eighth Amendment. Well, it's excessive fines. The Eighth Amendment doesn't cover civil judgment like that. Diane says, what do you think about the New York corrections officers on the trial for Robert Brooks? I don't know. Is the trial going? I know a couple of them pled out, and I think it's something I want to get into. Good. Those guys beat an inmate to death as he was strapped down to a chair, or strapped down on a gurney, and they beat him to death, and they all stood around. So fuck each and every one of them. I hope they all go to prison. I wasn't aware he was coming to trial. But if they have, great. And I hope they all go to fucking prison for what they did to that guy. So, and 33 cents. Yes. Oh. Brendan says, if you think about it, this case can now maybe be used against people like Jimmy Kimmel. No. Nope. No. Alex Jones, this happened because Alex Jones was Alex Jones. It's not going to, nobody else is going to suffer like this. Jimmy Kimmel will not suffer like this. No judge will do that to him. So, the closings were yesterday. Oh, the verdict is coming. Well, we're going to have to watch that because I want to see that because the video of it's hard. If you guys, I don't know if you watched it. It's a gruesome fucking video. But we may have to watch the trial. We'll probably watch the trial next week, depending on my schedule. Was the guy they beat guilty? He was a guy in prison. So he was already a prisoner. So that was, they have a duty to help him. And he hadn't done anything to justify what they did to him. So Sean is saying, hello, Sean. Long time no see. Good to see you. They stream the opening and closings only. That's a shame. But we'll go through it all. Yeah, he was strapped down as they beat the shit out of him. Yeah, so. But yeah, this is not going to, and getting back to Alex Jones, it's not going to be used against him. No. No, not at all. Not at all. So, Stacy says, did he mouth off to the wrong person? No. I mean, these guards were just pieces of shit. Spuggun says, what was the case? It was a case where he was being transferred to a prison in New York State, and I forget exactly what happened, but the guards had their body cams on. One of the guards' his body cam on as they beat the living shit out of him while he was strapped down and tied up, and they beat him to death. And a couple of them were doing it, and a bunch of them stood around and watched. And didn't stop. So. Can other cases point to Alex Jones as precedent? Sure, they can, but remember, you're not like Erica Kirk's not going to get Jimmy Kimmel's scalp like that. That's not going to happen. So, that's a shame, says it's me. Hello, good to see you, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. One of them forgot his body cam was on. Yeah. Yep. Muswell says he did mouth off. Allegedly, he mouthed off, but there's nothing he's going to say that warranted what they did to him. So, the guards beat him to death. Like, they beat him so badly he died from his injuries. So, Robert Brooks' case is it's really fucking tragic, but it's good news that a bunch of them pled out already. So, yeah. Now, there are some other things we are going to get to real quick. This is another thing I wanted to touch on, and this involves Letitia James. I know there are people out there talking about like how the house that she owned or whatever, like she had some, ratchet ass niece or whatever in it. Like all that stuff sounds great, but she's not going to get charged with harboring a fugitive. Just focus on the fact she lied on her mortgage and she committed mortgage fraud, like she accused Trump of doing. That's where the real argument is. That's my public service announcement from me on that. So we'll move on from there. We're going to move on from there to a story that came out in Washington, D.C. And this is one where a guy showed up to a range in Virginia and he rented one of their AR-15s. And what he did was he worked on and had 3D printed a forced reset trigger. Now, a forced reset trigger is like a binary trigger in the sense of they allow you to shoot at a faster rate. And while you don't get exactly full automatic response out of things, it's as close as you can get right now without stepping over into the National Firearms Act. And there's two different kinds of triggers. There's a binary trigger. And a binary trigger is when you pull the trigger, it goes bang, and when you release the trigger, it goes bang. It's binary. And we talked about before, guys, if you've ever handled a very, very nice higher end trap and skeet gun, like an over-under. I don't think in like Olympic competitions, I don't think you're allowed to do it. But the fancy ones that you can buy will have a binary trigger in it. This is where it was developed. You're up and you get the first bird, bang, bang. And as soon as you left the trigger, it goes off. There's also the forced reset trigger, and the forced reset trigger operates differently. The forced reset fires one round, but there's a mechanical reset that occurs. And there's two different types of triggers, okay, that you can have. Obviously, this one here is, you can see the one on the one side, it's, binary, okay? But you also have what's a forced reset trigger. There's two different types. You notice there's a little bit of difference in how these things are set up. But it's just a very basic thing there. And there's a bit of a difference. And yes, Brandon Herrera did have a video about shooting he shot a super safety through an MP5, and apparently he's like, it looks great. It did awesome. Yeah. Brandon did a video on this today. Okay, well, I was trying to catch up to it. But yes, great minds think alike. Doom says, common steel to OL. Yeah, Yeah, you gotta know. You gotta know. But yes, there was a binary trigger or forced reset trigger issue. And we're going to get to who ratted here. Yes. The FRTs are super safe. Yes. But technically, to be fair, it was a Hoffman tactical super safety. And I think that Hoffman should get the credit for that. It's the super safety. So what happened? What happened here? So this guy went to a range and he had 3D printed an FRT. And at a range, he rented a gun. And renting guns at ranges is perfectly normal. What you don't do is what this guy did. He started fucking around with the gun at the range, which wasn't his, and tried to put the fucking FRT in the gun. You don't fuck around with guns that are range guns because they're not your guns. And then number two, most ranges don't let you have to shoot ammo you buy from them through rental guns because they don't know who you are. They don't know if you've loaded shit or done anything retarded with your ammunition. That way it's safe. So this guy's sitting there fucking around with a gun that's not his, trying to shove a forced reset trigger into it that he 3D printed. The range safety officer at the range walks up to him and says, like, you can't do that. Get the fuck out of here. And from there, they told the police. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to this, of all the places to do that, and here's the issue. The guy lived in Washington, D.C., so the police were able to get a search warrant, and they raided his house, and they found guns, they found 3D printed shit, and they nailed him for all of it. Now, here's the issue. This guy is it illegal? Yes. Should it be illegal? No. But in the meantime, it is illegal if you live in DC, and you have to be smart about it. If you know what the law is, don't break the law and then have the man come after you. It's very retarded. It's very retarded to get caught like this. And people were mad at the range, but here's what the range is looking at. Some guys fucking around with their guns. And remember, when you're in Northern Virginia, you're on the edge of Washington, D.C. How do you know this isn't a sting? How do you know this isn't the ATF trying to, fucking jam you up? How do you know this isn't, some sort of lobbying group trying to fuck with you? There's a million different things this could be. So those are going to be some of the most paranoid people around if you show up at their range. Number one. Number two, a guy who's a range safety officer, which means he's at the range and his job is to just walk back and forth down the stalls and make sure people are being safe with the handling of their firearms. He may not know what that is exactly. He might be a boomer who's like, well, that looks like an automatic weapon to me. Who knows what it is? Who knows who he is and what he is? Who knows what he knows? You don't do that. You like this idea that, you're hoping these people know what you're doing is legal. A lot of people still think owning machine guns are illegal. I mean, it's very stupid to have done it the way this guy did it. And yeah, here's the other part. He actually said, I'm using your gun because my gun wouldn't work. So implying he had an AR-15 in DC, which is no bueno currently. So this was really fucking stupid on this guy's part. Yeah, go farther away, but he didn't do it. He went to the first range I think he was a member of, but it was really, really dumb. It was really a stupid thing. And you can sit here and say, it's unconstitutional. It's unfair. Great. If I drove into New York City with my Glock 19, it's unconstitutional. It's unfair. Yeah, and I knew it was still illegal, and I knew the risk of doing it. You can't sit here with a shocked Pikachu face at this point. So that is the problem here. And from here, there was a police report. There was a affidavit that was filed. And this just kind of explains what happened here. Once again, this guy was a fucking idiot. So an investigator with the Metropolitan Police received an anonymous text tip from a citizen regarding an individual who was possibly in possession of a 3D printer within the District of Columbia. The anonymous citizen stated on the date that the defendant entered the blank shooting range. It's a range located in Virginia. The range officers, including lane rental and firearm rental. The defendant had a membership there, and he then rented a rifle to shoot. During his time, he began to disassemble the rented rifle and tried to place what they learned to be a forced reset trigger into it. There's a capability to turn an automatic rifle or semi-auto into full auto, which is not true. It's not a full automatic weapon. But notice what they're going down the road of. He says this type of device is against the policies of the range, and your range can prohibit that. Ranges will prohibit National Firearms Act weapons. Ranges will prohibit all kinds of things, chat. Ranges will prohibit all kinds of things for you to do. And it's their range, their rules. There are many ranges where if you have an NFA item, you have to show them your tax stamp. And you can say, well, I don't want to do it. And they'll tell you, then get the fuck off our property. It's their place, their rules. Maybe cucky, but that's their call. So they say the employees stopped him from doing it, and they asked him whether they told him was against the rules of the range. And he asked the guy, hey, where'd you get it from? The defendant replied he 3D printed it. And the defendant went on to explain the FRT did not work in his rifle and attempted to see if it worked on the rented one, which is fucking retarded. And at that time, the rentals were suspended and he was sent away. And they ended up getting a search warrant of the guy's house. And then members of the Violent Crime Suppression Division and the Robbery Suppression Unit. Notice, they went after this guy like he was Don Corleone. They did a knock and announce, and after a time, they forced entry. He was inside, and he was detained. They observed what appeared to be 3D printed FRTs in plain view on a workstation next to his bed. And it says, due to the 3D printed things there, they added an addendum to seize electronic devices inside the residence. So once again, this guy was a fucking idiot. So it was stupid. It was stupid. This was stupid. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he's done, and I'm actually trying to get a hold of some files to 3D print an FRT for my AR-15 because I have a range where I could shoot it. But doing it and putting yourself in a situation where, once again, do not advertise your illegal fucking activities to people. Because some people are snitches. Some people may not understand what you're doing and think they're trying to be a good citizen. Don't ever advertise what you're doing if it's quasi-illegal or questionable or people may think the wrong thing. This is an easy dub for this guy if he hadn't done the stupid thing here. Yeah, fucking the range gun, but don't take your shit like that. A range where there's a range safety officer is where you shouldn't be doing R&D on fucking weapons. You should, if you have to find somewhere to go test it clandestinely. Like if you print up a Yankee Boogle, or you go print up some lightning links, or you do a drop-in auto sear. I'm not saying you should do all those things. Those things are all legal. Or you make something that's, questionable. Find a quiet, secluded place to go test it. Like in the Day of the Jackal. Go out in the woods somewhere and shoot it. Don't go to a fucking range, especially a range next to all the fucking federal agencies. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, don't do that. Don't do that. Meme Copian says base Jackal reference. Hey, it's a good movie. I have not seen the new series, but the original movie is so fucking cool. Peyton Wong is saying this is the reason why I won't touch an FRT or super safety. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm going to Like, they're not illegal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just you have to be smart about what you're doing and understand. Normies may not understand what you're doing, and they may not like. They call the cops like, this guy's got a machine gun. Well, you deal with that. You have to be careful. Got to be careful. Half the dudes at ranges are cops, yeah, or hall monitors. Yep. Mm-hmm. Henny B says Bruce Willis was a homo in that movie, though. No. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the Day of the Jackal, the original movie. I'm not talking about the Bruce Willis Jackal. And besides, he kills Jack Black. That is like the most base thing imaginable. The premise, though, of like the auto-controlled like 20mm cannon thing, that was kind of gay. Or the 14.5. I think it was a 14.5. 14.5, 14.5mm gun. That was kind of like, eh. But overall, killing Jack Black was great. Day of the Black Jackal. Oh. Yes, I'm talking about the Franchi one. Yes, where he tries to kill Charles de Gaulle. The Day of the Jack Blackle. Betty B says he really butt banging a Fed in the movie. Well, yeah, I know, but he kills Jack Black. That still kind of overrides all that. But once again, guys, just be smart about it. I know a lot of Twitter was like losing its fucking mind about like, yeah, this range sold him out, but I also don't blame the range at this point because how do they know this wasn't some sort of fucking retarded sting that they were being set up on? I think that, them doing it made sense. I don't condone it, but if I worked at these places, I would tell my staff, if I owned a range, I'd say, anything sketchy at all, we fucking report. Because I'm not losing my range and my business in a sting operation. Yes, I'm talking about the 73 version of the Jackal. So. Yeah, Eric Foam's like, yeah, is this guy trying to Randy Weaver a range? Yeah. Is this guy from the FBI? Is he from Everytown, USA? Are we going to get sued? Is he from an attorney general's office somewhere? Yeah. Don't, I don't blame them. I don't condone it, but I do understand it. And that's why I hate to say that. But once again, guys, if you're going to do shit like this, find somewhere else to do it. Find somewhere else to do it. Zero Fuck says, I bet that guy likes RoboCop too. I bet they fucking do. I bet they do. That's how it shows you how retarded they are. That's better than the have you had breakfast question, actually, Zero Fucks. That's what I got to talk to Sitch and Adam. That should be their thing. We have a sociology question for you. What's your opinion on RoboCop 2? And if they answer wrong, Sitch and Adam should be like, all right, interview over. Interview over. Can't trust it. He can't trust it if it's RoboCop 2. Crystal says, don't talk to cops. That's correct. But at that point, this guy had already talked, remember, these people were worried they were being set up. I'm sure they thought this was some sort of sting operation. So it's going to be the best litmus test. Better than if you had breakfast or anything else. Radcon says, what if someone answers never seen them? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. If you could clarify, that would be helpful. All right, guys, real quick here, we got to catch up on some other comments and stuff. Spud gun for £2 sterling. The King Sterling. He says the Bengals were up 17-10 at the half. Once again, a European who's like, yay, Cincinnati Bengals. I'm like, there are far better teams out there. And I'm not even telling you to be a Browns fan, because that's okay if you don't want to be one. But being a Bengals fan, like, Jesus. Like, that's worse than Joe Neerman being a Cowboys fan. But it's still weird that a Jewish guy from New York City's like, I like the Cowboys, but there are better teams to like out there, Spug. And please don't, as long as you don't just start going, who day. That'd be funny. Who day, mate? Oh. Yes, there you go. And then Brandon, the anime guy, for $2 says, John Bolton is hosed, but the judge is a bitch. Well, we'll get to that. David over at MLS says for $9.99 says, take me to jail. Yes, to quote Ray Liotta. Yes, I'm ready. Take me to jail. Shredder S 07 for 10 subs. Let's fucking go, chat. Speaking of that, let's see. Clyde, come here, buddy. He is super. He is like mopey right now. He looks so sad. He's like laying down in the hallway at the door of the office. He's just like, fat man, she's not coming back, is she? I am so sad. I am less sad. I feel so bad looking at him. He's just staring at me like this. She's not coming back. I promise, buddy, she'll be back tomorrow. Another for $5 says, don't cross Baldo. He'll snitch on you. Libertarian beliefs only apply to no one. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we all are hypocrites in some way. That is true for all of us. PS2 Chipper gifting 5 subs. Let's fucking go, chat, again. Yes. MW says, is sex in prison legal? No, you're not allowed to have sex in prison. There is no consent in prison. So yes, if inmates are caught having sex, they can be disciplined for that. If not, could Aaron get time added for giving into his urges? I mean, possibly. Now it's not like it's where you're in prison and they can add on your sentence, but like he could get charged with other things. Oh my God, we're not going to get into it. We're not going to get into it. We're going to leave that alone. Mikey for 10 subs. Thank you, Mikey, for your support, your generosity. Vodka Blood for 5 subs. And then Adam Simon for 1. That's like he's like doing like this, pulling his eyes open. For 1 sub. Thank you guys for your support, your generosity. I appreciate it. And if you're out there and you got a sub from them, please tell them thank you. Please tell them thank you. Also, guys, we got to work on some new we got to come up with new things for the emojis, because that's one of the big things there. We got a bunch of emojis. We need some I need some suggestions on what else to do. We need some new ones to work on. And Joe Strickland's been a member for 9 months. Thank you for your support, Joe. He says, the Cleveland Exorcist is Father Chad Ripperger. Oh, yes. EDW Raptor is saying for $5, it's sad that Alec Baldwin put his lesser brother Steven in danger like that. He's trying to save all the money for himself. Shredder S07 says, let's be clear, there's no way he pulled the trigger on that trash truck. It's definitely a 2-word verdict. I know. That poor Ukrainian trash truck did nothing wrong. EDW Raptor says, largest garbage truck you've ever seen, Alec? Have you ever seen your brother's IMDb pages? Oof. That is rough. That is too much, man. Malcolm said, yeah, we already did this about the brake fluid leaking out, yes. Adam Simon gifting 1 sub. Nick Kreuser's been a member for 18 months. Says, what kind of man talks to the ETF? No man at all. Once again, I agree. But I do understand a range thinking, oh my God, we got this guy tried to take our shit apart and shove a trigger into it and everything. I can understand why they did it. I wouldn't support it, but I understand, especially in their situation. Oh my God, you guys catching up on a lot of stuff here real quick. Agent Rusky for five Canadian dollars. 5 loonies or 2.5 toonies. That's a lot of loonies though when you think about it. Sean, gotta pump that Ozempic dose up. Rookie. Guys, don't let the U.S. go down the same path Canada has. We can't buy handguns. You guys are getting fucked in a lot of ways, and I will tell you, Runkle has been covering that very well. The state of things in Canada, basically everything's getting taken away. That isn't bolt action, it looks like at this point. They're going crazy up in Canada, and nobody can stop them. So my heart goes out to the Canadians out there, the base Canadians. Malcolm Combs for $2 says RoboCop 2 led to the excellent Rogue City. Is that a game or something? Rogue City? I don't know. So then, Unforced Ego for 15 subs. And Palmyra Media for 20 subs. Wow, you guys are just like big fucking support tonight, chat. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for that support. I appreciate it.
Was this story based? Yes.
Absolutely fucking based tonight, chat. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And we're going to catch up. I think we're all caught up here. Yeah, wow, subs. Yes, huge subs. Payton says bolt action will be taken away as soon as possible, too. Of course. They're going to take it all away, and then they're going to say, that's a sniper gun. You don't need a gun that can shoot a mile. Your bolt action rifle is too high powered. It's too far of the range. Nobody needs a 15 power scope. That's how it's going to go. It'll never be enough for them. It'll never be enough. Joe says, how much of a cut does YouTube get from gifted memberships? I think it's still they get 30% of everything. Does it matter if it's from a smartphone or not? Well, if it's through an iPhone, Apple takes their cut plus YouTube's cut. So if you guys have an iPhone, if you do it that way, people actually lose out if you're going through the YouTube app. I don't know if it works when you do YouTube just through the browser, like Safari, because like I know on my phone I can open up YouTube in, Chrome. So I don't know, but I would say through the iPhone, the App Store gets a cut as well. Let's see here. Yes, 30% of supers and members, 50% of iPhone. Yes, thank you, me. Appreciate that. Good to see you, man. Friend of the channel, chat. Friend of the channel. Friend of the show. And in reality, our true friend, our man in Japan. You know what? He's probably, and we'd like to say Max. He's Max Murrah's handler. He's the man who runs Max Murrah. And Max does the bidding of the Western governments because Josh gives him the directives. Ancient Ruski is saying the natives, and yes, this is true. In Canada, the SKS is like their M1 Garand. It was very ubiquitous for a long time. And the natives are trying to keep it for hunting, but I don't think it's going to work. And that's very unique because the natives generally can get away with whatever they want because they go, we're First Nation people, and normally the Canadian government will suck their dick. But yeah, if they're even losing their guns, that's a bad sign. Have you thought about starting a Ko-Fi? I've thought about it, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of do I guess I could set one up, but there's Venmo, Zelle, all those other things that are out there. I mean, I could do another one, but I kind of feel like it. I guess if you really want to, I can do it, but I've just never saw the point. There's so many other ways to do it, and I've got a bunch of them set up. But if there's a true better reason for it, I guess. You can't get the super chat on iPhone through a browser. Oh, okay. Canada's taking away their guns for their Chinese overlords, of course. Ty says, why are they taking hunting weapons? Well, because you can hunt people with them, particularly government officials. Adam says the worst sign is... Okay, this is kind of random, but okay. The worst sign is the one at the end of my street. This is deaf child because I still don't know who that is. To be fair, that kid may have moved on and they just never come and took the sign down. But yes, you should, if you don't know who your neighbors are, just start knocking on the doors and be like, hi, do you guys have the deaf kid? And eventually one of them is going to punch you in the face and you'll figure out where the kid lives. Let me see here. Joe says my Substack takes 20% from my subscribers. Ooh, wow. I didn't know Substack was... I thought they were better than that. Demon's Rest says, no child, it is you who's deaf. Enjoy your tinnitus. How are deaf people going to know you're knocking? The child's deaf, not the family. So I'm assuming the parents would punch you in the face for picking on their deaf kid. Yes, TNN is going to be like, hi, sir, did your wife take too many Tylenol when she was pregnant? Oh. All right, guys, we need to keep moving. We need to keep moving here. All right, so we've got... sorry, I gotta like delete these as I go so I can keep track of where I'm at. All right, we have some updates with the Trump cases in Illinois regarding the National Guard. You guys remember Trump has tried to deploy the National Guard to assist in Illinois, particularly in the city of Chicago, to help protect the ICE facility. He's tried to do the same thing in Oregon. Both of those cases are kind of, we're up in the air. We're waiting for the 9th Circuit in Oregon and the 7th Circuit in Chicago to make their rulings. We actually did get a ruling from the 7th Circuit. And the 7th Circuit denied President Trump at this point the ability. Now, certainly this is going to get appealed up to the Supreme Court. And I do think the Supreme Court is going to issue a stay of the injunction in the district court level. But remember, for right now, the 7th Circuit has only said, we are not going to grant you a stay, meaning we're not going to put this injunction on hold. And this was in the United States Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. Remember, Chicago is in the 7th Circuit, as is the great state of Illinois. And it was before 3 judges, a Clinton judge, a Bush, an Obama, and Clinton appointee. And they did a per curiam, so they all agreed. And as we go down here, they start talking, they recap a bunch of this, and we don't really need to get into it. They get down to, where is... So they go down here, and they talk about, we talked about this before, with Title 10 of the United States Code, where the president can federalize National Guard troops. Well, is there an invasion going? Nope. Or danger of invasion? Nope. Is there a rebellion or danger of a rebellion? Nope. That's not what they've been using. They've been focusing on this one. The president's unable to, with regular forces, execute the laws of the United States. And from here... he's talking about fucking... Oh my God, some of these comments are awful. Crop dusting deaf people, that's so mean. They can still smell. That is so fucking mean to them. Oh my God, these are awful. These are awful. Fucking awful comments. Anyways, they argue that the state of Illinois has argued there's no rebellion or danger of rebellion. And they also claim the president is not unable to execute the laws of the United States. They also argue this violates posse comitatus. Posse comitatus is using the military for law enforcement purposes. Not allowed to do that. But if the guard is just protecting the facility, they are allowed to protect federal property. And also they're citing the 10th Amendment. Once again, this is going to be the only time in history that the commies in Illinois are going to say the 10th Amendment matters to them. So what happened? Well, there was an injunction and a restraining order for 14 days. The court held a preliminary injunction and did not extend its order to non-National Guard military forces or the president himself. And as they move on here, they concluded that statutory requirements were not met. And ultimately, the government appealed to the Seventh Circuit, and they moved for a stay. And they say they granted the motion for a stay in part, which means they're allowing the Guard members in Illinois that are already there to remain under federal control, but blocking their deployment. So what does that mean? They're all just sitting around in basically a fucking parking lot on a federal government property. So they're allowed to be there, but they can't do shit about it. Steven says, did we cover California's Glock ban passing? No, I was thinking about that tomorrow, covering that its entirety. Yes, basically, guys, the long and the short of it is California passed a law banning guns that are easily converted into machine guns, meaning Glocks with the switchy. So basically, Glocks have been made illegal in California. And that's the first step of other states trying to pass that. So, but we will get to that. We will get to that, Stephen. But yes, and I want to go through what they actually passed and how it's set up. And they say before we reach the merits, they have to decide, do they have jurisdiction? And they cite a bunch of these cases here, the Department of Education versus California, where they talk about like the hallmarks are the issuance of an order after an adversarial hearing and a strongly challenged court's basis for the order. And this is all the stuff that the Supreme Court's had to deal with earlier, saying, should we address it or not? And they're saying, yeah, we can address it. And they conclude the order is appealable. And they point out that ultimately, if you're trying to stop to get an injunction, you got to show likelihood of success. There's a threat of irreparable harm. The balance of harms is in the benefit of issuing this, and the public interest supports it. So ultimately, they say the federal government can't succeed on their arguments. And what is the ultimate issue here? Because what more do they want? What more do they want? Now, they try to argue here, this case again, and we talked about this before, Martin v. Mott. This is a case that the president calling up the National Guard is not judicially reviewable. And that's not really the case. It's still something that has to be examined. Because Martin v. Mott was during the War of 1812. And, the British had invaded the United States and sacked the Capitol in August of 1814. And that's true. The British burned the fucking White House down. And if you guys ever, there was the Bladensburg races. And that's the Battle of Bladensburg, when the U.S. Army got routed by the British and they fled. And they were completely routed. And they basically outran all the people fleeing the British. So what happened here? Well, they move on to whether these protests have become too violent to the extent they constitute a rebellion, or the government can't execute the law with the regular forces available to it. And they point out that nothing in here makes the president the sole judge of whether these conditions exist. And that's true. You know, these things are not beyond judicial review. Do I think the court should be deferential? Sure, they should. So they end up rejecting the assertions, though, that it is unreviewable, and I think that's fair. I think that's correct. I think that's correct. Now, what they talk about here is where there is no ability to deference is on the meaning of the statutes. And what constitutes rebellion, and what does it mean to be unable to, with the regular forces, to execute the laws? Wasn't the War of 1812 a few years after 1812? Well, it went on for a while. It went on for a while, and it was basically the War of 1812 was like a side quest for the British government as it was dealing with Napoleon and the Grand Alliance. So they point out that these are statutory interpretations. And that's precisely what a court is for. And they point out that they cannot succeed. They can't say the government's likely to succeed under 2 or Part 3. And they put a little thing here. And they say that we acknowledge Trump has made many statements suggesting the Guard should fight crime in Chicago generally, but the government confines this argument to the use of subsections 2 and 3 based on the inability to execute immigration laws. And they say at this stage, we limit our analysis to the federalizing and deploying of the Guard. And they talk about like the danger of rebellion and what is a rebellion. And they say rebellion should be read to mean deliberate resistance to the government's laws and authorities. And that's a pretty good definition of rebellion. And they say, although we agree with the definition of rebellion in the case of Trump v. Newsom, rebellion centers on the nature of the resistance to governmental authority. And they say political opposition is not rebellion. You're right, but when the governor refuses to nationalize the Guard at some point, when does it become rebellion? They say, nor does a protest become a rebellion merely because of sporadic and isolated incidents of unlawful activity or even violence committed by rogue participants in the protest. Kind of like January 6th. What? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said this is like January 6th? Shh. 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 Yes, it's a mostly peaceful rebellion, Jester. But it is important. It is important here. And they say such conduct, exceeds the scope of the First Amendment. And they say that law enforcement has apprehended the perpetrators accordingly. They say, but because rebellions use at least deliberately organized violence to resist governmental authority. So January 6th was not a rebellion. It's not an insurrection. Remember, now it's become a riot. The problematic incidents in this record clearly fall into considerable daylight between protected speech and rebellion. So they say we see insufficient evidence of rebellion or danger of rebellion. And the spirited, sustained, and occasionally violent actions of demonstrators in protest do not give rise to a danger of rebellion against the government's authority. And they say next they turn to the meaning of 3, which is unable to execute the laws of the United States with regular forces. And yes, the Trump administration is asking to accept the case out of the Ninth Circuit, the Newsom v. Trump one. And they interpreted unable to mean the government was significantly impeded and regular forces to mean federal officers. And they say the district court in this case concluded the definition of unable is not having sufficient power or ability, being incapable. And this is interesting. The Seventh Circuit is siding with the district court, saying regular forces mean soldiers and officers serving in the regular armed forces. Remember, Trump can always send in federal military personnel to go in and secure these buildings. So, for example, in Portland, Trump could send in Delta Force. He could send in the 7th Special Forces Group. He could send in the 82nd Airborne Division. He could send in the 75th Ranger Regiment from down the road in Fort Lewis. He could send in the Regimental Reconnaissance Company from the Ranger Regiment. He could send in all kinds of units. He could send in part of like a Marine Expeditionary Unit to go in and secure those because he has direct control over them. But remember, he won't, because that defeats the idea that this is about Article 2 power, because nobody's going to question it. Could he send in SEAL Team 6? He could send in DevGru, yeah. He could send in Blue Squadron. He could send in Gold Squadron or Red Squadron or Black or Silver Squadron. He wouldn't send in Green Squadron because that's a training squadron. But yeah, he could, or Delta Force. He could send in, the Saber Squadrons if he wanted to. He could send in whoever the fuck he wanted. He could send in the fucking Armored Cavalry Regiment if he wanted to secure it. But that defeats what he's trying to do, number one. And number two, very fucking horrible optically. So there's a reason why he hasn't done that. This is about going after the states and his issue of subjugating them and bringing them to heel. Uncivil law. Kurt, how you doing? Guys, Kurt, friend of the channel. We did last night, went through the civil rights voting case, the voting rights case there. Could he send in the weebs? He could send in some federalized weebs if he wanted to. He could send in Space Force. He could send in whoever he wanted. Could he send in the CIA like ground branch people? I mean, no, because the CIA is not authorized to operate on United States soil. So no, he cannot send in Special Activities Division to go do stuff. Let's see. What about Kyle Rittenhouse? No, that would be funny. Could he send in the Postal Service? Yes. Now, what happens here? So this is interesting from the district court, meaning Trump has to be able to not do things with the regular military, which is weird, which is very, very weird. And then also Lateral 462 over on Rumble saying, caught you live for once. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. You also are saying Canada should have taken Trump's offer before. Yes. And they move on to say, we don't need to resolve these thorny and complex issues now because we conclude they haven't met the standards. They do point out that there's insufficient evidence to show that things have been impeded. The federal facility at Broadview, Illinois has remained open. And though federal officers have encountered sporadic disruptions, they have been quickly contained by local, state, and federal authorities. At the same time, immigration arrests and deportations have proceeded apace in Illinois over the past year. Based! More! Yes! And proclaiming and also the administration has claimed its success of current efforts to enforce immigration laws. Remember, guys, we covered this before. Chicago's where they sent in the BORTAC, the Border Patrol, their special mission unit guys, and they come rolling in on the fucking Black Hawk and they fast drove down on the top of that apartment building, hunting the trendy arugula guys. So yes, I think that some of this stuff is being used against them, saying, well, you guys are kicking ass. You're doing fucking, you're doing helo ops. They say that both sides agree the 10th Amendment question rises and falls with the statutory claim. And they argue that the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited to it by the states or reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. Yes. And they say these reserved powers include the police power, which the founders have denied to the federal government. Yes. And because there are constitutionally recognized grounds for federalization of the National Guard, the success is tied to the success of the claim the invocation of Title 10, 12406 was unlawful. And they say it does appear like not likely to succeed in showing the 10th Amendment prohibits the deployment of the National Guard. So, yeah, that's kind of it for Trump here. That's kind of it for Trump. And they're saying we disagree with how the Ninth Circuit interprets things. So, they point out, though, keeping the Guard troops temporarily under federal control without deploying them, meaning they're sitting in a fucking parking lot collecting per diem. And, you know, it's relatively minimal just keeping them on hand. And they point out that the public has a significant interest in having only well-trained law enforcement officers deployed in their communities and avoiding unnecessary shows of military force in their neighborhoods, except when absolutely necessary and justified by law. Well, so for now, it's being limited, but the stay is pretty much denied. And then we'll find out what's going on. The administration remains barred from deploying the National Guard of the United States within Illinois. I think that Supreme Court will overturn that. Yes. And let's see here. Hold on here. What am I looking at, chat? Did I miss something? I think I missed something, chat. Oh, well. I'll get back to it. Yeah, so what were their opinions about vaccine mandates? Well, that's different. That's different, you guys. And then moving on from there, so we'll find out. I'm sure Trump and them are going to go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will grant the stay, but not right now. Not right now. Now, moving on from there, something kind of weird happened. And the Department of Homeland Security brought this up. There was a cop that was helping them do stuff. And, chat, there was a cop helping them do stuff. And this is the weirdest thing ever. There was a cop helping them in the nearby area of Hanover Park. And they're investigating and they end up stopping him. And he's like, I'm a cop. And they're like, well, do you have proof of your citizenship? And he stayed on a tourist visa that he was supposed to leave in 2015. Over a decade later, he's working as a police officer, as an illegal, earning $79,000 a year. And this guy's from like Montenegro or something, I think. He's not obviously with the name, Radio Bolshevik. He's not from the east side of Cleveland. Yeah, I think he's from Montenegro. You guys can't say that word. We can say that word just there, though. But yes, he's Balkan man. And he's running around with a gun. And that's the thing. Remember, guys, if you don't have, you have to be a you have to have a permanent residency thing. So a green card or basically a and if you're on a temporary visa, you can't be out buying and possessing firearms. But if you have a green card, you can be. If you have other types of permanent allowances to stay in the country, you can have access to firearms. This guy's a cop, and he's not a U.S. citizen, and he's trying to enforce laws. I mean, that's always fucked up when you're not a citizen of the country. You're enforcing laws in. But he's also running around with a gun. What the fuck? That is so crazy. But anyways, he just graduated from the police academy. And he was still in the middle of his field training cycles as he joined the police department. So he had just become a cop, too, is the crazy thing. Former Yugoslavia, man, yeah. I wonder if he committed a felony every time he accessed leads. Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Maybe. But But yeah, he's just like the superintendent. How the fuck are these guys getting these jobs when they don't you have to verify your citizenship. Even though it's the government, you still have I-9 employment verification. How is this guy getting around these things? How is this happening? I mean, it would I could see maybe in 2015 it happening, but in 2025, he's been at the police academy, which if it's like Ohio, it's probably at least 6 months long. How did this happen? How did this happen, man? This is crazy. Oh, this is crazy, chat. This is absolutely crazy. Let's see here. Joe is saying, did I skip your chat? No, we talked about The Exorcist. I 100% know we touched on it. But yeah, yes. The Cleveland Exorcist is Father Chad Ripperger. Yeah, we definitely touched on that. Thank you for being here for 9 months too, again, by the way. If you weren't here earlier when I said it, thank you, though. Thank you. We'll retouch on it, though. Yes, the cop in Maine was from Jamaica. Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he's 33, which means he didn't come here as a kid. Well, he came here on a tourist visa. So, yeah, he definitely... I just don't understand how you get away with that. It's so crazy, chat. It's so crazy. So absolutely fucking crazy. Let's see here. So... just this illegal immigration shit is getting out of fucking control. And I don't know, I hope the left realizes this stuff is not making them look good when it's just randos are getting hired to operate as fucking cops and all kinds of shit. This is borderline insane. This is borderline insane. At least to me, guys. At least to me. All right, we're going to catch up on a couple more things here. Half Irish. It's been a member for 20 months. Thank you for the support. Says, you see the verdict in Dolly's trial? No, but guys, if Dolly actually watched it, it was apparently down in Southern Ohio. It was very interesting. The guy was a prisoner at one of the state prisons down in Warren County outside of Cincinnati. And he had gotten into a fight with a couple of the corrections officers. And he was charged with felonious assault and strangulation. And yeah, when you listen to the trial, it sounds like the guards were fucking hassling the dude. And he defended himself. And yes, 2 not guilty, 2 counts not guilty, 2 counts hung. Yeah, they made this guy look like the guards looked like complete fucking assholes. I watched it with Dolly. I just and righteous verdict. Just and righteous on the verdict. So good news, chat. Good news. So but yes, thank you for your support. 20 months is a long, long time. Adam Simon says, gifted 1 membership. Thank you. Gifting that 1 sub. Thank you, Adam, for your support. Thank you very, very much. Let's see here. Am I going to cover... Jesus Love You says, am I going to cover Happening with Mindset? No. I mean, I don't think there's anything to cover there, so... I haven't even watched it, so I hope Andrew's doing good. I talked to him. Sounds like he's doing all right. Joe is saying Smucker's is suing Trader Joe's for selling its own versions of Uncrustables. That would be a fun lawsuit to cover while I'm eating a PB&J. I can make the sandwich and and then as we're going here, because we even have I have blackberry jam, which is the best. Spud Gun for £2 sterling. The King Sterling says the Bengals win 33-31. Once again, my brother in Christ, find a better NFL team to root for. This is the weirdest fucking thing. Oh man, there's so many better teams to be rooting for. Like you're head of the Bengals fan club in England. It's like that's not something I'd want to be in charge of. Yeah, who they? They are fucking. They suck. Oh. Let's see here. Oh, is that guy getting a transfer? You mean the guy who got beat up the guards? Yeah, they transferred him, and they're going to transfer. Like, he's not going to get transferred back. That's probably never going to happen. But yeah, I mean, in the meantime, he beat those charges, which I think is all that guy was worried about. Yololo says, how crazy would it be if Yuri Buchanan, Sergeant Bukaki from the Karen Reed trial, was an illegal who overstayed his visa? No, he was brought here as a child. I don't think that's an issue for him. I don't think it's an issue for them. Yes, the U.S. Army does accept non-citizens for active military service. You need a green card. Yes. If you can get a green card, the U.S. military will let you enlist. And then after you complete your term, they help you get naturalized. So that's not a problem, but you're vetted and examined. But the fact is they didn't catch this guy not having papers is the big fucking problem here. So let's see here. What are you guys saying here? Hashtag says they just beat the Steelers, so they got that going for them. I'm not gonna lie, the Bengals and the Steelers. It's like if the Steelers and the Ravens or the Bengals and Steelers are playing, or the Ravens and the Bengals and Steelers, any combination of them are playing each other. I hope Bane can be real, is a real guy, and he walks out there and fucking detonates the field and they all just disappear. Both sides. I hope there's a fucking terrorist attack when they play each other. Especially the Steelers and the Ravens. I hope in the middle of that there's like a dirty bomb that goes off. It's the only fitting way for both those people to suffer. Yeah. So, let's see here. Oh, the Guts are saying what? Jesus? Man, I don't like the Steelers and I really hate the Ravens. I mean, what? What? I'm sorry. I just need a skull mask. Yeah. I just, that's the worst thing you've heard me say? That I want them all just to disappear? But Hines Ward lives, right? I mean, that is, he's fast and he's got the moves. And yes, if I have to sacrifice, if Hines Ward makes it, but Jerome Bettis, Roethlisberger, all those guys don't, I guess I'll take it. I'll take it. So. Elder Augusta says, okay, don't dirty bomb me next. Well, I don't know who you like, so maybe that won't be an issue. Okay. Libby says that's okay. Our Ravens fans hate the Cleveland Browns. Well, I don't give a fuck what you guys hate. You're not real people. Garrett says, I'm ashamed of my Yinzer heritage. Oh, God, that would be awful. Oh, God, thank God I don't have that. So, yes, the Ravens are tied with the Browns now. I know. Suffer, Baltimore. You suck like us. All right. Stabby says, I'm not a football fan either, Sean. I am a football fan. But don't you think calling for an intifada on thousands of fans is a bit much? No. Yinzers don't count as people. Number one. And number two, people from Baltimore. I mean, sorry. They get what happens. Did I hear about the horrible thing that happened in Ohio? Which horrible thing? A lot of horrible things happen in Ohio. Ohio is an Indian is an old Algonquin word for suffer. Oh. So we're going to move on, guys. We're going to move on. We got 2 things left. We got to get these done. First, and the most interesting thing that's happened here is, remember we talked about this previously, chat, the Antifa attack on the 4th of July at the ICE facility out in Texas, out in Prairie Land, Texas. If you guys are out in Alvarado, Texas, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, south of Fort Worth and Dallas. And remember, this is the facility where the Antifa people, there were 10 of them, like as a legit no shit fucking terror cell, carried body armor and AR-15s and basically infiltrated along the tree line, and from here started engaging the police officer that was there and the contractors who were guarding it. One of the Antifa guys got shot in the fucking face and died. But the rest of them, as their comrade, they realize, oh my God, I ain't about this life. Fucking go run away. They hop into cars and they take off. And they all get stopped. They all take off and they all come running down here and they get stopped by the police all along here. The carloads of them. And yes, how can idea carry out a terrorist attack? I know, that's the interesting part. So they got hemmed up on that. They all got charged with various things. But finally, what has happened? Finally, chat. Some indictments involving the material support of terrorism have started coming down. And this is the indictment they have. Now, this is going to rehash a lot of things. We're going to speed read it if you guys are new. But that way you have some basic ideas. So 11 people, I'm sorry, I thought it was 10. They were clad in black. They had masks, some of whom, almost all of them, were wearing body armor, and almost all of them were carrying guns. Attacked the Prairie Land Detention Center. And they say members of the Antifa cell, and we talked about this, it is a terrorist cell. It is a coordinated attack. They started shooting fireworks there and vandalized a vehicle and a guard shed. And the plan was they were going to lure the police out as this happens and then engage and ambush them. That is the plan. They intended for this to happen. And they intended for those guards and the police officer to come out, and then they were going to start shooting. So the corrections officers went outside to investigate, and they called local police. And then within minutes, the cops showed up, stepped out of his car, and began issuing commands to black-clad figures, holding a rifle. And one Antifa member, co-conspirator number 1, yelled, "Get to the rifles." Like, these guys were ready. Like, they had not mentally prepared to get down, and that's the thing. These revolutionaries, they thought they were about this until their buddy got fucking canoed. But in the meantime, they showed up ready to, try to get down. They tried to get down, or they at least thought they were going to get down. Seconds later, co-conspirator number 1 opened fire on the officers, striking the police officer in the neck, and the corrections officers were unarmed, had to run for cover. The wounded officer fell to the ground but returned shots. Co-conspirator continued shooting until his rifle jammed, and then they all left. And the police arrested almost the entire cell shortly after the attack, many near the scene, including Zachary Evitz. Then police arrested a guy, Cameron Arnold, the following day. And here's where they get to things, because people get cheeky and they say, "Where are the people in charge of Antifa?" Yes, because you can't have insurgent groups and terrorist groups that don't operate with a hierarchical command structure. Totally, it's not how, it never works like that, I guess, is the argument. But Antifa is a militant enterprise made up of networks of individuals and small groups ascribing to revolutionary anarchist also known as anarcho-communist, and revolutionary communist, an autonomous Marxist ideology, which calls for the overthrow of the U.S. government, law enforcement authorities, and the system of law. Antifa adherents have espoused insurrection and advocated violence to affect policy and conduct of U.S. governments by intimidation and coercion. Beginning in 2025, Antifa adherents have targeted ICE facilities and DHS facilities. And they say others in the cell look to co-conspirator 1 as a leader. Co-conspirator 1 also trained cell members on firearms at close quarter combat. This is the guy known as Benjamin Song. He's the guy who's co-conspirator 1. He's the one that trained them. The Antifa cell was heavily armed with over 50 firearms they had purchased over time. Co-conspirator 1, for example, bought and built numerous ARs, and one of them had a binary trigger. The Antifa cell also used encrypted messaging apps to coordinate with each other. Some of these had group chats, and some had auto-delete or delete after defined time functions, meaning they're using Signal. Once again, chat, ComSec and basic organization is critical if you want to carry things out, if you want to ever carry things out. They say most cell members used screen names to hide their identities. And the days prior to the attack, the cell planned and coordinated the attack using Signal. The goal of the attack was to destroy government property and commit acts dangerous to human life to influence policy of the U.S. government. As one member stated in the chat, I'm done with protests and blue lives don't matter. Well, you're a communist. You're not a real person. You're not a real person. Yes. Benjamin Song, a 32-year-old former reservist. Yes. Is this like a more gay Weather Underground? Yes. 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 And they say some members discussed logistics, logistics is always critical. Previous site reconnaissance. Chat, this is tradecraft. You've got to reconnoiter. You've got to be able to, do you have pictures? I doubt they did a sand table, but yes, you have to be able to reconnoiter. You have to have intelligence on the area you're attacking. You have to do an area study. And the locations of security cameras. They exchanged a map of Prairie Land and the area that showed nearby police stations. They planned what to bring, including firearms, medical kits, and fireworks. One member, for example, said in one group that they would be bringing a wagon to hold the armor and rifles. This part is kind of gay. They brought probably like one of those fucking little collapsy wagons. Like, no, you're pulling your op when you get to the jump off point and you're at your you're at your fucking RP. Fuck, you got to put your fucking shit on. Like, they're like, but it's hot and I'm tired. It's like, no, put your fucking shit on and carry your fucking guns if you're going to do this. Like, seriously. But it's heavy. I'm just like, come on, man. Co-conspirator 1 told the group they would use rifles to intimidate law enforcement. It says, cops are not trained or equipped for more than one rifle, so it tends to make them back off. That's true. That's very true. They're also not trained for somebody who's willing to fucking ball. Like we saw a couple years ago with that dude in Dallas. The cops are like taking cover behind pillars, and that dude just button hooked around the pillar and fucking hosed down like 2 or 3 cops. They are not trained to handle somebody aggressively attacking them with speed and violence of action. As long as you're doing it in a tactically sound way, you can at least put a dent in initial officers. A responding SWAT team might be able to handle you better. But even then, 2 or 3 people dedicatedly banging it out is going to be tough for them because they're normally training to deal with only one gunman. But yes, a team of people who actually want to fight, most places are not going to have a good time. Most places are not going to have a good time with that. So some members staged at a house on the evening of the attack. The members of Prairieland were dressed in black bloc. They brought a total of 10 firearms, 4 of which were purchased by number 1. One used to shoot had a functioning binary trigger. You know, paragraphs 1 through 9 are incorporated here. So, providing material support to terrorists. Oh, buddy, that is bad news. Cameron Arnold, also known as Autumn Hill, I'm assuming Cameron is a troon, and Zachary Evans conspired and agreed to provide material support and resources. I'm assuming other ones are going to get in trouble, like Benjamin Song, who bought all the guns, is probably going to get this as well. But this is the beginning of it. You know, conceal, disguise the nature of the material support, including property, services, training, comms, weapons, explosives, personnel, and transportation, knowing they were going to be used in preparation and concealment of violations of the law. Then there was count 2, attempted murder of officers and employees of the United States. They did with malice, aforethought, unlawfully attempt to kill corrections officer number 1 and an employee engaged on account of his or her duties. Count 3, they're going after corrections officer number 2. And then count 4 is the police officer who got wounded. Once again, murder of officers and employees of the U.S. And then they got charged with these ones here, the discharging of firearm in relation to a crime, discharging a firearm in relation to furtherance of a crime of violence. These guys are fucked up the ass. Again, another crime of violence. Fucked in the ass. These guys are so fucked. There is no way I don't see this working for them. What are you doing, Clyde? What are you doing, man? Yeah, there's a long time you could be facing, like, you know, if like, this is like 20 years in the clink for these guys, possibly. Like, these guys could be facing a lot of fucking time here. The death penalty or life, no, because nobody died. Sleeper says, what state was this in? Texas. Texas. So, suffer, commies. Suffer. And what's more appropriate right now? We're going to use it.
Guess who got indicted? Ha, 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 ha.
Fucking suffer, commies. Suffer. They got indicted in federal court, by the way, Sleeper. So it's good. It's good. Wait, was this in Fort Worth? It was south of Fort Worth in Alvarado. Can the feds charge felony murder for their dead commie co-conspirator? Maybe, but they're not doing it. So they're probably not. Life in prison, fucked. I mean, like 20 years for the material support one. And then the discharging of a firearm and crimes of violence. Probably looking at 40, 50 years total. It's a lot of fucking time. It's a lot of time. Is Gitmo on the table? No, but a fucking drone strike should be on the table. Fucking friendly predator missile inbound. I mean, Copium says that's real unfortunate. It is. It is for the commies. Lone Star says, can you read my member chat? Yes. I'm going to get to that now. We're done. Yes. Lone Star Medic's been a member for 9 months. Thank you. It says, the base wannabe revolutionary got domed. Lol. Suffer. Yep. One of their group got shot in the fucking face. And they left him. And he fucking got canoed like outside the guard shack. Peyton Wong saying, he got that level full plate. And then P-Dub says, just like their hero, John Brown. Yep. Yeah, people who like, support John Brown, you're like, guess who hanged John Brown? Robert E. Lee. Colonel Robert E. Lee. Yes, and Jeb Stewart and the USMC took care of him. Yep. Lee led the combined force of U.S. Army and Marines to retake the arsenal at Harper's Ferry. So, yes, and Malcolm, you're correct. Bubba's will use them like a hand puppet. Yep. They're going to wait. There aren't a lot of left-wing. There really aren't any left-wing gangs in prison, let me tell you what. Let me tell you what. And if they really get convicted of all this shit, that stuff is going to push them way up the scale. They're going to a USP. They are not going to a federal correctional institution. They're going to go to a USP somewhere. Oh, man. So suffer, you communist fuckers. Suffer. I mean, this is perfect. Yeah. So, but remember, it's a lot more than an idea. It's a lot more than an idea. Let me see. What else we got here? That's how are these guys going to function if things are set up by race in jail? Yet these guys are anti-racist. Well, they're going to have a fun time with that. They're going to have a fun time with that. So, bro needed an Altian helmet. Yes. You guys know what he's talking about. That's the helmets the Russian special forces guys use with the little slit in them. What was John Brown's persona? Oh, God, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. Were they going to go to the ADX? No, they're not going to Supermax. Told Monkey says, what's the difference between the USPs and the federal correctional institutions? It's the level of prison, the level like a U.S. penitentiary is the higher. Like you'll see a lot of places there'll be like a USP wherever you're at, and next to it there'll be an FCI, a federal correctional institution. United States penitentiaries are the higher security levels. There's USP, so like even at Florence. There's the Florence Supermax, then there's also the USP Florence. There's two facilities. And USP is like the step below ADX. So sometimes you're not sure about my hair. It doesn't look real. I mean, it's pretty real, man. It's real. It's just been super fluffy since I got it done. I don't know. Especially the past like week after I got my hair done. It's been very fluffy, but I can tell you it's real. Look, it's real. I promise you, it's real. Jose says Antifa's about to meet the real Nazis in prison. Oh, you best believe. You best believe. You best believe. Everett Scott says, John Brown liked to fuck horses the other way. I'm sure he did. Oh. Garrett says it does that right before you start losing it. I mean, well, knock on wood. The Reaper has not come for me yet. Edzo says, I am a kind of a hair person. No, I'm not gay. Yes, Sean, you have great hair. Thank you. Two Scoops of Destroyer saying, is the John Brown Gun Club all about that, Mr. Hansley? I mean, I presume so. They're probably a bunch of horse fucking communists. Yes. All right, guys. Now the last story of the night. John Bolton. If you guys remember, he is the walrus man himself. John Bolton, the man who masturbated for decades to bomb Iran and have further wars in the Middle East. The turncoat piece of shit motherfucker who Trump gave a chance to. This man, you guys have seen him before. This is John Bolton. The absolute scumbag motherfucker himself. Well, we get to use the same clip again.
Guess who got indicted? Ha 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 ha.
That's right, chat. John Bolton. Part of the national security the national security apparatus in the Trump administration and the previous administrations. Whoa, he got indicted, chat. He got fucking indicted. Mega based. You just love to see it. You love to see it, chat. And you know what? It's lawfare, but remember, nobody is above the law. He is facing 18 charges. 18 counts, chat. 8 counts of transmitting national defense information and 10 counts of retaining national defense information. And we're going to get to all of it here. But yes, he got fucked so hard. And remember, here's John Bolton previously. This is John Bolton previously talking.
We'll have to prove it.
Fucking shit.
We'll have to
talking fucking shit and running his mouth. This is John Bolton previously, you guys.
We'll have to prove it. Then he has committed very serious crimes. This is a devastating indictment. I speak here as an alumnus of the Justice Department myself, because not only is it powerful, it's very narrowly tailored. They didn't throw everything up against the wall to see what would stick. This really is a rifle shot, and I think it should be the end of Donald Trump's political career. We'll have to prove it. Then he has committed.
There you go. That's the first time he runs his mouth. And there's other press things that he did here.
President.
This one's a good one here. And God, we don't need the ear rape on. I'm going to turn that off. Here you go.
President had a habit of asking to retain sensitive documents. And from time to time, he did that, and we didn't know what happened to them. And it was always a concern that because he didn't really fully understand the risks to sources and methods and other dangers of revealing classified information, that it might get out to the wrong people. Donald President had a habit of asking to retain sensitive documents.
You guys, when you heard him say the DOJ thing, if you were not aware, John Bolton is an attorney. John Bolton has a law degree. Law degree from Yale. So he did a little bit of work in the 70s and the 80s. Ultimately, he ended up working at Kirkland Ellis. But yes, until he became Trump's national security advisor. But yes, what a smug piece of shit is this man. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So what happened to John Bolton? Well, let's get to it. Let's get to his indictment. Whoo, buddy. Now, here's the problem. Just like with James Comey, the United States District of Maryland, guess what? There's a good chance he's going to get suburban DC bureaucrats on his jury who might say not guilty to fuck over Donald Trump. Now, what might hurt John Bolton is he's a neocon, and those people might say, fuck him anyway. So, John Bolton is not in the same boat that Jim Comey is. I think Jim Comey's going to get jury nullification for political reasons. John Bolton might get fucked just because he's got no more usefulness. So, they talk about John Robert Bolton II. Resided in Montgomery County, Maryland, and from the 1980s to 2019, served intermittently in a bunch of U.S. positions as an assistant U.S. Attorney General. And why are they putting that in there? Because that shows he knows what the fuck he's doing. The DOJ, an Undersecretary of State, a U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, and his last position was Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs, which is commonly known as the National Security Advisor, which is a very prominent role. You're part of the National Command Authority. So, and you're part of the National Security Council here. The National Security Advisor varied by presidential administration, but has assisted the president in managing the National Security Council, which is part of the National Security Act of 1947, which is to advise the president with domestic, foreign, and military policies. And they say consistent with it, the functions include advising the president of foreign and military policies relating to national security. It goes through all of this. And they point out that membership in the National Security Council, if you guys have never realized it, is the president, the vice president, secretary of state, secretary of defense, the secretary of energy, secretary of treasury, the director of the Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy. That's a new addition, obviously, after COVID. And other such officers of the United States government as the president may designate. So, yes, that is a thing there. As far as what can the president do, he can bring in other people if he wants to, but he doesn't have to. And that's how this can work here. And then you guys, if you remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, they had XCOM, which is the executive committee of the National Security Council. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he's not going to be invited back. I don't think he's going to Bohemian Grove this year. I don't think so. But if you guys don't remember it, that's information there. And now you got some Trivial Pursuit information. And he was the National Security Advisor from April 9th of 2018 to September 10th of 2019. As the National Security Advisor, Bolton had access to some of the U.S. government's most sensitive and closely guarded national security secrets. In order to obtain a security clearance, Bolton signed numerous non-disclosure agreements that acknowledged the unauthorized disclosure of classified information by him could damage or that could cause damage or harm the United States, and he would never divulge authorized information without prior written notice. And that he would never divulge anything he knew to be sensitive, compartmentalized information, SCI. If you guys have ever heard, there's a clearance. The clearance is you get a top secret /SCI, specialized compartmental information, meaning it's all about need to know. Do you have a need to know something? Well, if you don't have a need to know, you don't know. And why won't this delete? I hate this. Why won't you just fucking go away? I don't know, Chad. It's all being retarded right now. Hold on. I don't know why it's being all gay. So, but anyways, you get the TS-SCI. And then there's also SAP, Special Access Programs. That's kind of like a higher thing, because if you have a SAP, Special Access Programs are that's some fucking Black Ops stuff in SAP. So, Joe says, delete. Yes. Orbrask is saying the deplorable XCOM. No. XCOM was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. If you guys ever watched 13 Days, they called it was EX. XCOM. It was the Executive Committee of the National Security Council. So that's what I'm talking about. Not XCOM like the games, but they called it XCOM. So that's what we're talking about there. They say to anyone, and they go on here, and they said, disclosure of the information may constitute a violation of United States laws. As the NSA, he had a top secret SCI clearance. And before being appointed as the NSA, he held a security clearance previously. And he had to supervise the work of the national security staff on behalf of the president. And he had access to everything. Due to his need to have ready access to national defense information, the government installed an accredited sensitive compartmented information facility within John Bolton's home. It's called a SCIF, guys. And if you guys have watched 13 Hours, when you see them go into that building and they have to take their cell phone and stick it in the wall collector, you're not allowed to bring cell phones into SCIFs. SCIFs are special rooms where classified information can be handled. And that way you're adhering to all the governmental controls. SCIFs are a big fucking deal. Remember, we talked about this with Trump's case, his classified documents case. His attorneys had to come to the SCIF that the U.S. government was setting up. And then they actually helped them set up a SCIF in their office to go through things. But you have to have special things. It's all heavily regulated, meant to protect the information in it. This is not uncommon. There are many senior executive service people, SES level things. They have SCIFs in their home, specialized they help set it up. And they say the SCIF was approved for the processing and closed storage of classified information, Meaning the biggest thing is, if you don't have a skiff, like if John Bolton brought home a file from working at the West Wing and working at the National Security Council that day, he couldn't just set his briefcase down and he gets home and sets his briefcase on the kitchen table. You can't leave that. It has to be secured and accounted for. The retention of that information is critical. So just being able to store it'd leave his briefcase for the night. Because otherwise, basically, you'd have to have a fucking chain to his wrist. Everywhere he goes, taking a shit, taking a shower, going to bed. Like, those are the only other ways you protect that information. So a skiff allows protecting that information and allows him to leave it in the house. So it's not like Joe Biden where he could just leave the shit sit in his garage and nobody would care. And so he has to protect it. He has to protect it. After his term as National Security Advisor, his home was decertified by the U.S. government, which makes sense. You no longer are the National Security Advisor. You're done. We have no need for you anymore. And from that date to the present, no location in the home was approved for the lawful storage of classified information. At no point, including the period when Bolton had a accredited skiff at his home, was he authorized to store or transmit classified information on unclassified systems. And that's the other thing too, Chad. If you guys don't understand that, you can only transmit classified information on protected systems. Not even just your device, but for the military, they have SIPR, SIPR. That's a secured information processing. A secured email, a secured network. You can't just send shit out on fucking Google. Like, you can't be John Bolton, bomb Iran, 2311. He doesn't send stuff to whitehouse.gov. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. That is illegal as fuck. So, Kia Pathison, I'm sorry. Is it SIPR? Okay, well, I don't know. Fuck. I'm not in the military. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's the SIPR. Okay, SIPR. Okay, whatever. Actually. But he sent it on unclassified systems, such as an America Online email account, which, guys, that kind of tells you what he did. A Google email account, it tells you what he did. Why are they being very specific? I wonder why. And a non-governmental commercial messaging application, meaning he used something like Signal or text or Facebook Messenger or whatever, Telegram. There are now, the government has secured messaging applications as well. Or other non-governmental systems. While National Security Advisor, he learned of, national defense and classified information, including things from the National Security Agency, the CIA, the U.S. military, and foreign government officials. In addition to having the home skiff, he also had access to a variety of secure telecom systems that he used to discuss and communicate classified information. And that's the thing. He could do all this stuff from his home. In addition, he could go to classified spaces at the White House, the Eisenhower building. And that's the thing. As a National Security Advisor, he can wake up in the middle of the night and show up at this place and do work. It's not like they would say, sorry, Mr. Bolton, it's closed. He could show up at 3 a.m. and do whatever the fuck he needed to do. Let's say he's at home and he's trying to do work and all the secured phone lines and communications don't work. He would say, get me a car. We're going into town. And he would go to wherever he has to go that would have a skiff and secured communication lines again. He could readily learn, read, and discuss classified information with others who are authorized to know. And that's the other thing. He can't go talk to his wife about stuff. People in the skiff are presumed to be cleared to know these things, so he can talk to them. So from on or about April 9th, 2018 through August 22nd, 2025, which means he just got done fucking around, he abused his position by sharing more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as National Security Advisor, which, if you just say, here's what I did, that can tell a lot of what happened. With 2 unauthorized individuals, 1 and 2, who are widely believed to be his wife and daughter. Bolton also unlawfully retained documents, writings, and notes involved in that. Individual's one identity who's known to the grand jury is presumably his wife, from what we know. Never held a security clearance, was unauthorized to maintain information there. 2 is his daughter. But anyways, what did he do? He sent diary-like entries to 1 and 2 that contain information that was TSSCI. Many of these diary-like entries, by transcribing his written notes from the activities into word processing documents, which he then electronically sent to them to a commercial non-governmental messaging application. Why the fuck? And this is, you know why he's doing this? So he can write a fucking book later. This is why he did it. He wanted to write a motherfucking book. And he probably also leaked a bunch of this shit too. On other occasions, he uses AOL or Google accounts. At no point did he have authorization to send any of this shit to individuals 1 and 2. And guys, here's the thing. If I get a document and let's say I have a security clearance and I'm reading something from the CIA about Russian nuclear readiness programs, and I take notes on that, guess what? Those notes are now classified. Those notes have to be classified. I can't just give those notes away. If I lose those notes, that's a big fucking problem. Those notes are now classified because they talk about and refer to that classified material. So guess what? The CIA, as the originating authority, would have to certify and clear that. Now, as the president, he could say it's cleared, but you can't. Here's the thing. Yes. If you take notes on these documents, it's classified now. So his notes about what he did, and then his dear diary, here's what I did today. You're discussing classified information. Those are classified. This is all really fucking important here. You can't do that. And he would have, they teach you this. And at Patrick, I know some of the other guys who are military. This is something they drill into people's heads, especially when you're handing classified material. You can't fuck around with it, even if you take notes on stuff. You can't just be willy-nilly with it. So, anyways, they go on to talk about, at some time unknown, but no later than August 22nd, 2025, many of the diary-like entries, including entries that contain national defense information, were printed and stored in his personal residence, which means somebody could break in and steal those. And I can tell you this much, any foreign intelligence agency, the SVR, the MSS, which is China's security service, any organization, the Iran, the Quds Force, anybody would kill to get a hold of that information, even if it's old stuff, to get their hands on classified information at that level would be fucking absolutely amazing. Digital copies were on this, were also stored on personal devices used by Bolton and his family. At his time after 2019, his residence was not authorized to store classified information. Mofunk is saying, where's Clyde? Well, we had Clyde a little earlier, but yeah. And you guys are making fun of AOL. John Brennan, the former CIA director under Obama, he got caught using a fucking AOL account while he was still CIA director. And they took, so it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. Is Assange still alive? Yes, Jabal Dunny is. But moving on from there. On September 10th, 2019, the government retrieved all the classified equipment and documents that were stored in the skiff. During that visit, Bolton was told he could no longer store classified information. At no point afterwards, including when his skiff was decommissioned, did he tell the government he had sent National Defense and classified information to them over the emails or messaging services. If he had, they would have had to go through, seize all these devices, and then basically either remove that information or destroy the device. But now those devices, chat, like if you get John Bolton sent classified emails, those cell phones are now classified. They have classified material on them that has to be vetted and cleared and evaluated. Like, there's all kinds of rules with this shit. There's all kinds of rules for this stuff. 93RT says we train on CUI classified material so often as government employees. Yeah, yep. EDW after saying the KGB, well, no, it'd be the SVR, but yes, they are the successor to it. The SVR is Russian intelligence. And then they say that such information was stored and was readily accessible to people. So it's not even the fact that it's just his wife and daughter accessing it, but John Bolton still accessing it is now a crime because he doesn't have the clearance anymore. And they say at some point after he left service between 2019 and 2021, a hacker associated with the Islamic Republic of Iran, meaning the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, the IRGC, probably in Quds Force, which is their special operations entity, hacked his personal email and gained unauthorized access to this shit. That's why you don't do this, because people can fucking hack it. That's why you don't do this. You know, all the shit he had previously emailed. A representative for Bolton notified the U.S. government of the hack in July, but did not tell them that there was national defense information, including classified info, on the account. Bolton's representative did not tell the government that he had shared that stuff with his wife and daughter. This is absolutely fucking insane. This is absolutely insane. Think about this. Think about this. All that shit he was railing Donald Trump for. And in the meantime, all the stuff people worried about what Trump did actually happened here. So you know what? This is lawfare, and this is Trump going after people who fucking deserve it. But too fucking bad. John Bolton broke the fucking law. Then they talk about the classified information. It's basic explaining of what it is. Its own produced is for the control of the U.S. government. Could it disclose cause one or more specified levels of harm? And is classified under original classification authority, who determines that its unauthorized disclosure could result in damage to national security. There's a bunch of different executive orders that go through and talk about national security information being top secret, secret, or confidential. We've talked about these before. Top secret is it could cause grave damage to the national security. Secret is could cause serious damage. Confidential is it could be expected to cause damage. Then there's also no foreign, and that's not releasable to foreign nationals. There's RELTL, which is about releasable only to foreign nationals of specified countries, orgs, or multinational forces, meaning certain friendlies, but not all friendlies. Then there's also, it could be released to the USA and Great Britain, can only be released to nationals of the United States and Great Britain. Remember, America and Great Britain, we have that special relationship. I don't know how much longer as Britain slowly becomes another fucking Pakistan, but for now, we do. Yeah, no foreign is a handling instruction, yes. There's also Orcon, which is the, indicated the dissemination and extraction was controlled by the originator, meaning the person who generated the document or the organization that generated the document. There's also other things there. Classified information relating to intelligence sources, methods, and analytical stuff is designated SCI. Then there's also SI and HCS. If it's SI, is an SCI control system that it's special intelligence, meaning it's probably signals intelligence from the National Security Agency, also known as SIGINT. Then there's HCS, which means it's from a human intelligence source, human, meaning an actual spy, like real spy shit is going on the ground. And then SEI, was to be processed, stored, or discussed in an accredited SCIF. Why? Because you're with your SIGINT or your human, people could get killed if you figure out what's going on, because maybe John Bolton fucking talked about some mope who now might get fucking murdered because of this. Think about that, what he did. Think about what he did. So what do they define the SCIF as? An area, room, group of buildings, or installation certified as meeting the Director of National Intelligence Security Standards. And that's the thing, chat. The government could come in and turn my office in here, the studio, into a SCIF if they wanted to. There's all kinds of things you can do. But anyways, let's get to this transmission of what he did. He sent his wife and daughter contemporaneous notes on a regular basis, describing in detail his day-to-day activities as the National Security Advisor. He referred to these notes as his diary. They talked about things he learned from meetings with members of the U.S. government and everybody he met with. The portions of the diary entries were national defense information that was top secret SCI. And throughout his time, he took detailed notes documenting his day-to-day activities and briefings, which this is kind of applicable here. It's kind of applicable.
Nigga, is you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? What the fuck is you thinking, man?
It's not exactly that, but are you taking notes on your fucking intelligence activities that we're doing? What the fuck are you thinking, John Bolton? Why are you taking notes on intelligence activities like that and sharing them with everybody? So he handwrote these notes on yellow notepads throughout his day at the White House complex, and then later rewrote his notes in a word processing document, like a boomer, instead of scanning them, which that would have been the millennial way of doing it. He sent through personal email accounts and messaging accounts. Often, the notes describe secure setting or environment in which he learned of the national defense information, which is just as critical. Some of these places might be fucking classified. The existence of the place. Who knows where he went? What rooms was he in? Like, if he said what room number, what floor, locations. If I'm a foreign intelligence service, I can learn a lot from that basic information. Because if I'm Iran or Russia or China, especially Russia or China, I'm tracking all these fucking people, where they went each day. And we're like, oh, these people went, boom, they talked about something. Then this guy came, boom, they talked about something. You can piece together all kinds of things with this stuff. So, and they say, for example, a description of classified information might begin with, the intel briefer said, whoa. Or while in the situation room, I learned that, oh my God, this is fucking worse than I thought. I didn't bother reading it because I wanted to react live. Holy shit. Holy shit. Wow. Fucking wow. Guys. Holy shit. And here's the thing, guys, and I'll explain this. For the people that were in the military, if these guys, like Kilpatrick, some of these dudes that have been in the military, they'd be in fucking Leavenworth right now. They'd be fucked. Whoa, man. This is fucking Tard Bell time. This is fucking Tard Bell time. Yeah, notes always bite you in the ass, but wow. Wow. Man. And then he would tell his wife and daughter to start here, and at least one communication, he referred to them as his editors. This is his fucking memoirs and his notes in his book. God, some of you might say, why are they not in trouble? They never signed anything, so it's not on them. This is no different than a reporter getting a hold of things. They're not under any liability unless they solicited it, and that's not something they did. But yeah, chat, just ding, 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 ling, ding, 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 ding. Retard alert, retard alert. So the day before he began his duties, he created a group chat. Oh, Jesus Christ. Why are we using this now? The encryption, to which they implied, yup, why not? For diary in the future. I mean, fuck me. Wow. 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 Holy fucking shit. Do not take notes on your criminal fucking conspiracy. Oh my God. Oh my God, chat. This is like gorilla. This is like gorilla nibba stuff, man. Like, really? When you're gonna do clandestine shit, don't talk about doing clandestine shit.
Nigga, is you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? What the fuck is you thinking, man?
I got fucking nothing. Like, John Bolton, for being so smart, is the dumbest motherfucker on earth. So on or about April 22nd, 2018, he sent him a 25-page document. He sent them a message on or about April 22nd that stated diary finished. And then the mom asked the daughter whether daughter was going to call tonight, which she responded, am I supposed to? The mom then wrote, diaries take time to write, but phone conversations take less time. And then another day, the daughter sent him a message saying, do we get a diary today? The mom responded, don't think he can do it on his trip. And Bolton added, too much going on. I've done much of it Friday in London because I didn't take many notes. Wanted to get it down before I forgot. And then later, he sent them a 24-page document. Oh, my God. And then 3 hours later, he sent a follow-up message stating, none of which we talk about. In response, the wife stated, shh. And then the daughter said, the only thing interesting is what U.S. senior government official might have said from foreign language interpreter, which you didn't tell us. Then 2 minutes later, the mom sent a message in response stated, more to come with Cloak and Dagger or something, so he says. And then later there was a 10-page document, which was all at top secret SCI. Holy shit, guys. There was a 29-page document, which was secret no foreign. He did another one, was a 15-page one, which talked about, but no commentary on foreign country one's judicial system. In response, they say, he's like, I'm working on getting you more. Regarding the arrest of an individual in foreign country one. They talked about that the individual arrested was being interrogated and the relative of the arrested individual would be in D.C. if useful to get him in front of the senior government officials. And he says, next thing they'll pull a Khashoggi. And Khashoggi was the Saudi journalist who got murdered in the Saudi consulate in Turkey. Literally, they cut him fucking apart in the building. Based. And they say that 22-page documents. And he says, stuff coming, hard copy at home. The 20, like, what a boomer. He prints out his emails, too. More top secret SCI stuff. This is just... 10-page documents, more top secret SCI, 77-page documents. Just on and on and on and on and on and on and on he did this. And it said relevant actions before and after his tenure ends. Bolton publishes his book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. So on or about the day after he got fired, a literary agent representing John Bolton sent an email to a book publisher describing a book as his time as national security advisor. And yes, his meticulously observed manner with direct quotes from all parties based on contemporaneous notes. And 2 months later, or 2 months earlier, while he was still the National Security Advisor, the literary agent sent Bolton a letter stating it was with enthusiasm. The literary agent was exploring a book with John Bolton. Ultimately, John Bolton earned more than $1 million. I hope you make $1 million, Bolton. By selling the rights to his book about his time as National Security Advisor. Holy fuck, guys. Holy fucking shit. Oh my God. Ah. Yeah. DSP printed out his emails, leave him alone. Manicatin says, why didn't he get a burner phone and send messages to that, or even use a burner phone to record everything offline? Because he's not as smart as he's not as smart as you or me. Why? Because he thought this was okay. He wasn't going to get caught or held accountable. Because nobody had been getting caught or held accountable prior to that. I'm sure these guys, I'm sure all these national security hacks and all these cocksuckers fucking did this shit all the time. I guarantee you it was a known thing people did. Yes, Khashoggi got slap chopped. Yes. Was their daughter a spy? No. Marlene says, why are they not co-conspirators? Because they didn't solicit him. He offered it to them. It's no different than if I work at the CIA and I give a random reporter a stack of emails and like 1 million different documents to read. They're not complicit. I'm the one who signed all the notices. They didn't. So, yeah. And then real quick, guys, Malcolm says he wants them to justify going back to Iran. Yeah. Malcolm Cohen says better or worse punishment than the Antifa guys. Oh, I want these motherfuckers to pay. Comey, James, Bolton, they all need to fucking pay. It's like Call of Duty. Dragovich, Steiner, Kravchenko, they all must die. Chugi says, what does chat would have bet me is nothing coming to these people, Trump charges. Comey, I would agree on. John Bolton's fucking going down. I'll bet you $20 on that. I'll bet you $20. Brandon, the anime guy, is a new member. Thank you for the support, man. Thank you for the support. It says Bolton is toast, even with a bozo judge. I think even with a bozo jury, he's toast. Best Brandon, thank you for becoming a lifer. I saw that there. Thank you. And then Radcon has it for $20. Says, I called a boomer at work because I refused to use Discord for work-related conversations. When I tell them how secure it is, they laugh and say nothing we talk about is classified. Meanwhile, Discord got hacked again. Well, yeah, yes. Discord is not secure. To be fair, almost any means of communication are not secure. If you're using it, it's probably not secure. But that's once again why you have white, black, and red comms. I'm sorry, white, red, and black comm sets. And, you know, you use those appropriately. So. Marlene say, who can Bolton give up about what? All the other people in the national security establishment, I guarantee you, have done this. The reason why he did all of this was because this was probably a common practice for these people to do. So. And then he talked about he began sending drafts of his book to his publisher and literary agent. He sent these drafts via a non-governmental messaging application. So, chat, this right here alone, this is another illegal disclosure. This is another count of handling unclassified material like that. He can't do it. Now, what you have to do when you're somebody like him in his position, or like when you're these Navy SEALs or guys who write books, you have to submit it to the National Security Council. And like in the military, people have to submit the book to the military to get reviewed for the publication reviews. And they say, based on initial review, the government told Bolton that the initial manuscript contained a bunch of highly classified information that need to be removed. eventually the book became published and readily available. None of the classified defense information, charge accounts 1 through 18, was published in the book. And John Bolton took it out of the book because he's not retarded. Now the government knows it's there. But in the meantime, he illegally disclosed things. And then it says, on or about June 16th, the United States and Bolton entered a settlement resolving civil litigation of the book. As a condition of that settlement, he agreed to provide the U.S. government all materials in his possession, custody, or control that may contain classified information. He agreed that his obligation to return extends only to any written or electronic drafts in the manuscript of his book, regardless of whether those materials were received from the United States or generated by John Bolton himself. So he had to return everything. And at that point, he notified the FBI that they hacked his personal email account. Well, they talk about in the email, the representative stated that evidently someone got into Ambassador Bolton's email accounts, and it looks like as though that person's from Iran. And then they emailed the FBI, and they have to because that's a security issue. They received and the FBI again reported that they received an email in which the representative believed was associated with the hack of his account. And it says, I do not think you'd be interested in the FBI being aware of the leaked content of John's email, especially after the recent acquittal. And that's, they say this could be the biggest scandal since Hillary's emails were leaked, but this time on the GOP side. And they told the FBI, we're just sending you the text, not the documents. And about a day later, they told the FBI that Bolton would be deleting the contents of his personal email that had been hacked. Then John Bolton said, I got another email from the hacker who said, okay, John. I think of the guy from Commando. Bennett. I'm going to kill you, John. As you want, we'll disseminate the expurgated sections of your book referencing your leaked emails. They say at no point did Bolton say that there were documents relating to national security information. And then later, on or about August 22nd, the FBI executed search warrants. And what do? Well, they seized the electronic files showing that Bolton sent all this shit to his wife and daughter. During the search of the home, the FBI also seized copied printouts of the entries, including documents that related to national defense and classified information. All this stuff he was supposed to give up, and he didn't. Some of the documents related to national defense that the FBI found in his home are described further down below. And then, yes, he has made numerous statements about demonstrating his understanding of classified information. So in a media interview, he stated in response to a question that a senior government official had communicated things before. He said, look, I believe still this day, if I had done that at the State Department, if I did it, I'd be in fucking prison. Well, guess what, John? You're going to fucking prison, motherfucker. And then in March of 2025, in a media interview about a senior U.S. government official communicating sensitive information, this is Pete Hegseth using Signal and having a Signal chat. And he says, I just can't even, without even reading it, I know what they're talking about here. I can't even imagine opening a Signal chat group or a Telegram chat group. You fucking did it, you motherfucker. The gall on this son of a fucking bitch. The gall on this fucking man, guys. And I'm sorry, it's 12:45. But fucking look at this shit. Look at the fucking gall on this man. The balls on this man to say, I wouldn't fucking do that. Fuck you, John Bolton. Fuck you. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. I hope he goes to fucking federal pound in the ass prison. I hope he goes to federal pound me in the ass prison. The damage is done. We've shown weakness in our OPSEC and our approach to security. Our adversaries will try to exploit. Wow, really? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he says. When you're on Signal, no one in that conversation for days ever saw we may be able to get off this and back on a classified system. It's just without words to understand how that could have happened. And it talks about on April 18th in a media interview, John Bolton said more. He says, I was totally without words. He says, you simply don't use commercial means of communication. I've been saying, but as I've been saying, the place for group chats or the situation room, where everybody's in place, some people may have to appear by secure via video teleconferences. He says, but having chat groups where you're writing 2 or 3 sentences, that is not what you would call sophisticated national security analysis. There's no excuse for it. Once again, guys, you run your fucking mouth, you're going to get hung for this. They're going to hang him with his own fucking words. Suffer, John Bolton. Suffer. Suffer, motherfucker. And then he talked again about it. And he says, you know, this is... Oh. This is just... You know, he says, what were they doing off governmental channels? That is the original sin here. And he says, I think, you know, actual damage is done because of the way foreign intelligence services operate. The way our own intelligence services operate. You take everything you can get. And then he had another media interview where he just the impropriety of discussing with people who didn't need to know. You know, it shows a terrible lack of judgment. Communicating with people in the group who have absolutely no need to know about any upcoming U.S. military operation. As he fucking emails his wife and daughter. And it leads me to believe what he's doing on the job on a minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour basis, that he's got time to knock out signal messages. Yeah, well, yeah, or like writing fucking email entries. So anyways, counts 1 through 8. National defense information being transmitted. So what did he do here? Well, he did some top secret signals intelligence. Something redacted, meaning this reveals intelligence about a future attack by adversarial group in another country. This is probably something really fucking big. It's been redacted. Then he did some other stuff that was secret. He did some secret human intelligence shit that's been redacted. You know, foreign adversaries were planning missile launches. There's top secret, more signals intelligence, human intelligence. Covert action programs. Man, this is fucked up. More top secret signal and human intelligence. More signal intelligence and human source intelligence. Oh my God, guys. This is fucking awful. Then the retention of national defense information. So more signals intelligence, secret stuff, human source. God almighty. You know, top secret intelligence only relatable to the United States and releasable to Great Britain. More signal intelligence, human source intelligence. Fucking A, dude. Fucking A. Wow. There you go, chat. There you go. He is absolutely fucking cooked. And as he stated, he's right. I'd be in fucking prison. And I hope you go to prison, you motherfucker. I hope you go to fucking prison. They could strap him to a fucking cannon, North Korea style at this point. But wow, guys. Oof. Yeah, Radcon has brought up a good point here. Info leakage is a big deal. Even you could printing out secured information, classified information is very particular. If you print it on the wrong printer, because printers have cache and memories, if you print it on a printer that's not on a classified network or the wrong printer, that could be a disaster. Like you have to go through and do things. Yep. And Dirty Eric says the FSB. The FSB does domestic security in Russia. The FSB operates internally. The SVR operates internationally. Adam Simon says, self-fulfill. And some Italian guy says, just got here. Did Steele till actually go to jail? Well, not yet. He goes tomorrow afternoon. So. Not yet, but soon. But holy shit, guys. Fucking John Bolton, yeah. Says Jesus, what a jump scare, yeah. Yeah. So, can we send him to Abu Ghraib? I don't know, but he needs to suffer. How bad is the Oricon label? I mean, it's important, but it's like you still got to make sure about who you're releasing it to, by the originator. So I don't specifically know, but that's not as bad. But still, he was handling shit he shouldn't have been handling and releasing it to people who had no ability to release it to. But anyways, that's a question other people might be able to know here. Stephen Cooper says, I think John Bolton could really stand to start listening to some more urban music like Talk Shit, Get Shot. Yes. Yes. That is. Basically with Oricon, I'm just Googling here, chat. You can't share it without permission from the originating agency. So, like, if the CIA or NSA have it, you need their permission for you to share it. So, I would be surprised if they go light and no way Trump pardons this idiot. I don't think anybody's going to pardon him. John Bolton fucked himself. And, here's the problem. When you are a turncoat like John Bolton and you sell out your party, nobody, neither side has use for turncoats. Why would we help people that will betray you? That will betray their friends. So, John Bolton could suffer. When a Dem comes in office, well, I hope fucking J.D. Vance is president for the next 2 fucking elections. So then John Bolton could spend fucking 12 years in prison. So. Anyways, chat, there we go. Don't be a tard with national security information. And remember, everybody's screaming and crying about Trump. It's like, fuck, man. This was bad. This was bad. So. Oh. So. Oh. Just absolutely. Absolutely. So. John Bolton should be lucky because he's well known. Others may get canned. Well. Actually, there you go. Vance 8, Rubio 8. Then Barron Trump can come in. Another 8. John Bolton dies in prison. Based. Mega based. Absolutely based.
Got they licking their pencils right now. Trying to write fierce as they can. Get every word of this here. Get every word of this.
That's right. Get every word of this, chat. Get every word. Oh. Pepperidge Farm remembers when John Bolton was a bad guy, according to the libs. Yeah. They thought John Bolton was like Dick Cheney, evil, nasty neocon, wanting to start wars everywhere. It's funny how that all works out. Bill is saying, are we doing a show on locals? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yeah, what did the Thug Shaker guy end up having to play out to? Imagine that. They make that airman fucking take it up the ass. John Bolton better fucking go away. John Bolton better go away. But yes, I agree. Another correct. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Oh. So chat, we are going to head over to locals here. We are all wrapped up. I'm going to go to potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Promo code fall 2025. We're going to go right into it, chat. Like I told you tonight, was a night about suffer. And people have suffered. So I'm going to let you guys go. I will see you guys there. And tomorrow night, we'll talk about California and the Glock stuff. Maybe some other Second Amendment related things. I'm not sure yet. We'll probably do a catch-all of some things tomorrow night. And yeah, chat. Kaz says, I'm fucking wasted. I'm sorry. Nothing to be sorry about. Guys, the promo code Fall 2025. We'll see you there. And remember, till next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. John Bolton, you are fucking guilty. I hope it fucking hurts. Good night, chat. Good night.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why, yes, it was.